Yo,
Uh,
how are y'all?
look at. Are you a Christian?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you? We have a prompt on the screen. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I disagree. I'd affirm that Jesus is God.
Okay. Could you show us evidence of that?
Obviously, like justification for where we derive Christ's godlyhood from would be within the scriptures, right? So I think it's mainly a thing of why obviously y'all are Muslim, right? So it's more of a thing of why should we go with the Christian scriptures over the Quran? Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean,
You can basically go with. Oh, go ahead.
I don't believe that it says. I don't believe that Jesus himself says that he has two natures, or says himself that he is God, the Most High, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, or any of that.
Yeah, I would affirm that like
Assalamualaikum.
I would affirm like
Walekum.
I think we can both agree that at somewhere within the scriptures it does affirm or call Jesus God. Would you agree with that?
No.
I mean, I would agree. I would agree that there's that man calls Jesus God. Man says a lot
I
of.
wanted to actually assess what he was saying earlier. Like, have you actually really assessed this idea of yours where you can, let's say, you put the Quran and the Bible on a glass table, and you
Okay,
assess each one of
it's
them?
not this. This is not the same person.
I
The other
know.
guy
Well,
dropped.
I did. The other guy that said
That he
comparing
read the
them.
Quran. Yeah, he
No,
dropped.
no, no, no. This is this guy that just said that first we got to take the Quran or the Bible, and which one is more, worthy of taking.
Yeah, I mean I'm down to talk with whatever. It seemed like the
Yeah.
host
So
wanted to
so
talk
let's
about Christ being God in the Bible.
okay. We could go with whatever order, but what I'm gonna do is try to see your consistency in whatever you say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you consistent in what you're saying?
That Christ is God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Within the scriptures, I
Okay.
can be
So
consistent with
no, no. According to your belief, you believe in these scriptures,
that.
right? Good, good. So I'm questioning your choice of belief, right? So whatever you chose to believe is whatever. It could be the Hindu scriptures, it could be the Bible. Doesn't matter. You're representing your belief. So when I ask you questions, you give me your belief, establish it. If I ask you to establish it, prove it, then you bring me your scripture to prove it.
Okay, sounds good.
But my question to you is, do you pray directly to your God or do you pray to his Father?
I pray like it depends. Like sometimes I pray to the Father, sometimes I pray to the Son, sometimes I pray to the Trinity
So
as a whole.
So why don't you pray to your God directly? Why do you pray to the Father of your God?
Well, I do it the same thing for the Son. It just depends. Like for example, we within Orthodoxy, there's a common book called a prayer book, where it's like a collection of prayers from
Amazing.
saints historically and those types of things, and uh, they're
You don't
rendered
see the
to
problem.
specific
You don't
persons
see the
for
problem.
the problem.
Okay. Would any believer in one God ever say that I pray to someone else other than the one I choose to call God?
Well, only pray to God.
No,
I hope not.
you chose. I asked you, why do you pray to the Father of your God instead of your God directly? And you went around giving me reasons.
Yeah. But you do realize that the Father and
That's
the
like
Son are
saying
both God, right?
you're not get. I don't think you're getting it. You're literally saying, I don't pray to my God directly. I pray to His Father.
No, no, I pray to my God directly, who has a
No,
hypostasis
you
that's
don't. You
identified as
said
a Father.
Jesus is your God. No, no. You
Yeah,
said Jesus is your God. And does your God teach you to pray to someone else?
that isn't God. No,
No. Why would He ask you to pray to something that's not God? Of
you
course,
just asked me. I was answering
God.
your question.
Anyone that hold on. Would anyone ask you to pray to something that's not God? That's not a God.
Someone might
No.
tell you to, but God wouldn't.
Well, of course, they would point to a tree, but would they say pray to a tree or would they say pray to this God?
It depends on the person, but I would just affirm that the God, like Allah and our God in Christianity, wouldn't tell us to pray to someone. who isn't
Well, your
God in
God
the
is
sense of like
clearly
worshiping them
hold on, but
logically.
clearly, why do you think that a God would tell you to pray to a God?
Why within the Christian paradigm?
No, within reality, sir. Reality. Do you see
Well, I
the
mean,
world,
it
the
depends.
real
Like, if we're
world?
granting every
Look,
paradigm,
sir,
like,
sir. No, we're looking at the real world and we're trying to compare these stories, these whether they mythological or not. We're comparing them to reality to see if they're true. So I'm asking you, in reality, this one God, why would he be pointing to someone else and calling him God?
within Christianity, that's not the case. There's not like another God.
What about polytheism? Is that the case?
Within Christianity, no, polytheism isn't the case.
So why is it so in your case, is there a God speaking to a God?
There's a hypostasis that's speaking to hypostasis.
I'm gonna ask you
There's
about
not,
a hypostasis.
when you say a God
Dude,
speaking to the God,
hypostasis
like
is
that
not,
kind
dude,
of,
dude, stop saying hypostasis because hypostasis is not a being.
yes, that's what I'm affirming. We don't believe that the
So
hypostases
you
are their
think
own
that-
being.
so-
That's why I'm clarifying that, because when you
Amazing.
say that there's
So
a
you're
God
saying that the
asking
person-
another God or whatever, it kind of entails different beings. That's why I use
Are you saying
hypostases,
that
because
your
we don't
God?
believe that.
Hold on. Are you saying that the persons don't exist?
No, I never said that. I said that they're not separate
Okay,
beings.
so they are beings. So they are beings, correct?
It depends how you define being.
A being is something that exists.
Okay? Yes?
Okay, do the three persons have their own existence?
They exist, yeah.
Yeah, so that each one has its own existence with its own set of properties.
When you
that
say
exist,
own
correct?
existence, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that means that each one, the Father, exists with his own properties, right? Is this true? Or does he have somebody else's properties?
They each have their own. There's hypostatic properties. that
Good, they
hypostasis-
each have their own properties. Good. So for God, has to have his own properties to be God, correct?
Yeah, God does have his own properties.
Good, good, good. So why does your God need three sets of the same property to be God?
Well, they don't. They each have their own personal properties. And it's not like they
Simple
all just share
question.
the same
What
properties.
was
For
the
example, like let's take the
No,
Father
no,
and
repeat
Son.
my question.
What-
Repeat my question.
Why does
think
God?
you
Why
understood the
does
question.
there need to be three persons with the same properties?
Wrong. Wrong. That's not what I asked you. It's not what I asked you. I don't know
Okay.
why you're not listening. So I'm asking you again. Please pay attention. Why do you need three sets of the same properties to make one God? Why isn't one set sufficient enough to make one God?
Where are the three sets of the same properties?
You just said
In
that
the
each
Trinity.
one of them have. You said each person has its own set of properties.
I
that
said
are
own
equal-
hypostatic properties. You know what that is in
But
reference
that-
to?
Yeah.
Like, for
okay,
example,
does
like
the
I was
Father
going to
have-
say,
sorry.
for example, let's take the Father and
Hold on, hold
Son.
on.
The Father has the
Is the-
hypostatic property of having paternity, which the Son and Holy Spirit do not
Simple.
have. That's a personal
It's a
hypostatic
simple
property.
question. It's a simple question. Does the essence of the Father, does he possess an essence that he exists with, or does the Son have that essence?
That's just a loaded question. Like that's kind of
No,
just a
it's
false.
not.
It's a
It's a
false
direct-
dichotomy.
it's a
Yes, it
direct-
is.
no,
Because
it's
you're
not. It's a
presenting like
direct
only one of them possess the essence, when we affirm that the essence subsists in all three
Sir,
persons.
I'm not, sir, even if the three persons, so you're telling me the three persons can't have this essence, right? And each one have their own set.
And that's not what I said. I literally said that the essence subsists in all three persons.
Can each one have the same set of properties that make each one of them God?
The same set of properties, in the
That
sense
makes
of
each
like
one of
having
them
the same
God.
essence.
In the sense of making each one of them a God. Does your God have
Like,
properties
if you
that
mean
make him
it-
God, sir?
If you mean in the sense of like possessing the divine nature, the ousia, like the ousia subsisting in each of them, then yes.
Does the Father have his own full divine nature that makes him God?
Well, he fully possesses the divine nature, the single divine nature.
Good.
Yes.
Does he need the Son to possess that nature?
In order for the Son to be God,
No, in order for the Father for this fully God to be God, does he need something else to have the same nature for him to be one God, the Father?
Well, if we think about it in the sense of like, is it necessary that this God has to exist within a triune
I'm
way?
asking you a simple question. Does the Father, you said the Father has his own essence that makes him fully God.
No,
So I'm asking you.
I did not.
He
I
doesn't?
said that the essence,
so
the
you're-
one essence
so you're
subsists
God.
in the Father
Hold on.
as well as the Son and
So
Holy
the
Spirit.
Fa-
He doesn't
so
have
you're
his
saying
own.
that the Father, you're saying that the Father doesn't have an essence that makes him God. Is this what you're telling us?
No, that's like exact
So
opposite.
tell us.
You're just not
Does the
listening. Once again,
Father-
I'll say it again.
Hold on.
I said that
Let me
the essence
ask you again.
subsists in the Father.
Hold on, sir. Simple question. Does the Father have his own set of properties, divine properties, that makes him fully God? Yes or no?
In the sense, in what sense? In the sense of just like possessing the
And
essence,
properties.
or in
What
the
makes
sense of
something
like,
God? Sir. What makes something God?
okay, well, possessing the ousia would make someone God.
The essential properties that of divinity, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And these properties have to be within the essence that something possesses, correct?
Yes.
Good. So does the Father possess an essence that has divine properties?
Yes.
Is he fully God by himself?
He is fully God. The person of the Father is
Good.
fully God.
So is he fully God enough to be one God, or is he insufficient that he needs someone else?
So are you saying that like, when you ask this, are you saying that is it possible that God could not be triune?
No, I'm asking you that is the Father one person sufficient enough to be one God or not?
Well, if we think about it, yeah, I would say it's not possible for like the God to exist outside of a triune God, because if the triune God is
hold on, so something fully God is insufficient.
well, if you didn't cut me off, I'd be able to finish explaining.
No, that's
if
what
we're
you're
giving
no,
a
whatever
scenario
excuse you
in which
have, sir, whatever excuse you have, you're saying that the entailments of it, whatever answer you have, if the answer is not the correct answer, there are entailments. So if you say, oh, there is a reason, whatever that reason is, the entailment is that the one fully divine nature is insufficient to make something fully God.
There's only one divine nature. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Well,
So again, and we're saying, is this divine nature, is it necessary for something to be one God?
and we affirm that, and then he asks, is it possible for this divine nature to just exist in the person of the Father and then not be two
So
other
you're
persons?
saying God is
No,
fully
I didn't ask you.
dependent
Does
and he
it,
needs help.
No, the essence.
I'm asking you it's a simple question. We're asking about sufficiency. You're saying it's a simple, look, something that's fully God, is that sufficient enough to be one God or not?
Is it sufficient for, say that again? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Is it sufficient for something that's fully God? Is it sufficient to make it one God or no?
When you say sufficient, what do you mean by that? Like, are you saying
It means is the properties of being fully God? Is it being fully God? Is that enough to make something one God, or is it not enough? And if it's not enough,
it's enough.
what is missing?
It's enough for something to be God, be part of that
No,
one
God, one God, not be part, be one God, because it's fully something fully God. Is that sufficient to qualify as one God or no?
Yeah. Well, in the sense of like a hypostasis possessing.
We're not talking about no
Well,
hypostasis
it depends
or
on what
nothing.
sense you're using it.
We're
So I'm
not
clarifying
talking about
what
no
sense.
hypostasis or nothing. There's no
It-
senses. There's only one sense that it can exist in. Something that exists has set of properties.
So if I
that it
provide
exists in.
another sense in which this
Sir.
could occur, and it's not in the sense you're
There
saying
is
it,
no
then
other
there
sense.
is other senses.
There is no.
So,
other
for
sense,
example,
'cause we
there could
already
be a
have-
sense
Hold on.
in which this
Hello?
one essence is
Hello?
possessed by two
Hello?
hypostases that
Hello?
don't have their
Hello.
what?
You're not getting it. You already set the standard that something that's fully God
Must
is enough
possess
to
the
be one
ousia,
God. What's an ousia?
the essence, the divine nature.
Good. So something with the essence that makes it God is enough to be considered one God, correct?
What do you mean just by one God in the
Wow.
sense of being its own being? Like, is your argument that
making some
okay?
Sir, what do you know?
Seyfuddin,
one God
what I'm
has?
asking you
Sir,
is
is
if
one God something that has the divine essence that makes it God? Yes or no?
Seyfuddin, I'm trying to ask you a clarifying question.
Subhanallah.
When you ask me this question, is your argument that if it is enough for it to be one God, that then it's not a triune God that's one being, but actually three gods? Is that your argument?
Oh, no, it's not an argument. It's a question. So I'm asking for a standard. Your standard of what makes something God, one God, is I'm asking you, is something that's fully God, meaning it has the usia, the full usia, not a bit, not a part of it, not something missing, not a handicapped usia. No, a full usia,
Yeah.
full divine properties. That's something like the Father that has all of these properties. Is that sufficient enough to put on the stand and say that is one God? Yes or no?
If by one God you mean it's only one hypostasis that possesses the divine nature, then yes. In that scenario, if it's one hypostasis, there isn't any other hypostasis that possess the divine nature, then it's sufficient for
Why
one
are
God.
you bringing in hypostasis? Why is there a necessity for a hypostasis?
That's
You believe that God can exist without a personhood?
I asked you a simple question. Why the necessity for a hypostasis? Because a hypostasis makes God unnecessary. It makes him contingent.
what? How? No,
Okay.
it doesn't.
Okay,
Okay.
define hypostasis. Go ahead.
Okay, so, well, a hypostasis would be the concrete subsistence of that nature. So, for example, you have the essence in a hypostasis. The essence is what a thing is, i.e. its nature, and the hypostasis is the concrete subsistence of that nature. If you're saying that God exists, but there is no hypostasis, then the essence doesn't subsist in anything, and therefore there is no God.
Are you saying that one thing that exists is not enough to have the hypostasis that makes it God?
No, what I'm saying is a hypostasis,
A
whether it's
simple
one
question.
or three or
No,
whatever,
I'm
is
asking you a
necessary
simple
for
question.
God to exist.
Hold on, sir. When we say something exists, what are we identifying?
Exists something that's an act.
No, we're identifying, right, a thing that's unidentified existing. So how do we identify something? We give it, we recognize its attributes, its properties that it exists with. So we already identified the being by calling it a something. So God would be something that exists. Now, when we are attributing to what makes this thing that we're looking at God, we're looking at the properties and the usia. Yet, you are not consistent to this, are you?
I think I'm being logically consistent.
How is
Well, like,
three
if you're
things-
gonna say that I'm
Wha-
not
hold
being
on,
logically
sir.
consistent, you'd have to
How
show
do you
me.
need three? Okay, so why do you need three things, three fully gods, to make one God?
Three hypostases, that is one God.
It's a simple question. Why do you need three fully gods?
Okay, yeah, I'll answer.
make one
so
God.
if given the Christian paradigm's true and there is a triune God,
It's not. No, we're not
God,
granting anything to be
God
true.
would
Nope,
exist by
nope.
necessity,
We're
and since
not-
God
sir,
is
sir, we're not
unchanging and a
granting you-
necessary being.
We're not presupposing your beliefs to be true, you silly child. Why do you have to appeal to imposing that your beliefs
Just
are true?
appealing to
And then,
logic.
dude, you don't start with the conclusion. You get there through your reasoning. So again, stop acting like the Trinity is true and stick to what I'm saying to you. Something that's fully God, not three persons, one person. Why is one person that's fully God not enough for you to say that's one God?
Never said that one person, one hypostasis, it
I
isn't
didn't say
enough to be one God.
stop using the word
You said
hypostasis.
person. You said person. It's the same thing.
I'm asking you about
Hypostasis and
one
person
person.
are synonymous.
I'm not asking you about a
You
hypostasis.
do realize that
use
when
the
I'm
word
saying
person.
hypostasis, it's
Use the
synonymous
word
with person.
No,
Okay.
forget that. Use the word person.
Okay.
Why can't
When you
use
say
the word
one person, I never said
Sir,
that. That's
why
not
are
the
you
case.
handicapped? Why are you so handicapped that you can't use the words that I'm using?
Why are you so handicapped that you can't use the words I'm using? Like, it just goes both ways.
Because
It's just
the
non-argument,
words
dude.
that you're using, words that you're using are not within my question.
Okay, and?
So don't give me answers that are not in accordance to what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, why is one thing like the Father insufficient to be one God. And you're saying it has the ousia that makes it God and fully God. Why is that not enough for you? Why do you need 3 sets of these things to make one God?
Because it's been revealed that God's a Trinity.
There you go. So now you're appealing to your scripture. Can you
Ultimately, we're
can
both
you-
appealing
hold
to our
on, sir.
scriptures, dude.
No, I'm not.
Point.
I'm
That's
using
why it's the
reality,
basis
sir.
is the Bible
Sir,
versus.
I'm using the
Tanakh.
standard of reality. For me, in reality, one thing that exists with the ousia, full ousia that makes it fully God, is one God. How about you?
One thing that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So is the Father one thing that exists with that's fully God?
We affirm that.
So is he one God by himself?
Is he one God by himself? If there isn't any
Yep.
other hypostases that possess the ousia, yes.
So no, I'm not asking if anything else exists. Is he sufficient enough by himself? Does he have the properties and qualities to be considered one God?
Once again, yes. If there is no other hypostases,
Good,
yes.
good. So any other being that has the same set of properties and qualities he does would be considered a second God, correct?
If it's a separate instantiation of the divine nature, then yes. If it's not, then they
So
would still
how
be
can
the same
anything
God.
else possess it without? How can anything else possess the Father's nature?
By possessing it.
No, he possesses it. How can he lose possession of one divine nature?
He doesn't lose possession. It's just it
Good.
subsists in
So
something
the
else.
possession.
as well.
So who possesses the divine nature in this situation? The Father, correct?
Yes.
How did the Son come have what the Father has?
By being eternally begotten by the Father.
Amazing. So he is
In
dependent
the
on the
essence of
Father
subsisting.
to exist, correct?
In the sense of being eternally begotten. Yeah.
So is the essence of the Son dependent on the Father?
Because the essence of the Son, it's the same essence. There's not separate.
No, I'm
essence.
asking you. I asked you, how did the Son get the Father's essence, and you brought about him being begotten of the Father. This is what you said. So
Yeah.
how did the essence of the Son is dependent on the Father, correct?
There is no separate essence.
You made one when you answered the question and said that he's begotten of the Father. That's where his
Yeah,
essence
the
came from.
personhood's begotten of the Father, not his essence.
No, I'm asking you about the essence. Where did the Son get the essence of the Father? Because
it's the same
hold on,
essence.
does the Father ever lose his essence?
No.
So he always possesses it, correct?
Yes.
Does the Son possess his essence?
Yes, he possesses the same essence as the Father.
So how did the Son get a hold of the Father's essence that he exists with?
We would affirm that, like, when the Father eternally begets the Son, in that act, communicates to him the entire divine essence.
So an essence is communicated. It's not something that exists with someone.
Well, it just comes from
Amazing.
the Father. That's why he's the monarche.
So an essence comes from So an essence comes from a Father. It's not. It doesn't exist with
From
with
the Father,
with
the
God.
person of the Father that begets
Yeah,
the
but
Son.
why does a God's essence come from something else for you?
What do you mean, come from something else?
You just said that the essence of the Son comes from the Father. Why does God's essence come from something else, my friend?
Well, the essence
It's the most
just comes
ridiculous
from the
belief
person of the
system that I've
Father.
ever heard.
Like,
Like, dude,
what's the
I don't
problem
know
with
how
that?
gullible-
Like,
You
you're
don't see
asking
the
me
problem,
why?
you're so
Like, that's just an
delusional.
epistemic limitation.
Dude, you're
I'm a
delusional.
human. I don't know
you see the
why.
problem? You don't see the problems within your belief system? You're saying that your God's essence comes from something called the Father. Why does a God's essence come from anywhere?
The essence isn't just created by the Father. I said that the
It doesn't
Son
matter whether it's created
derives
or
his
not.
essence from the Father because the Father
Why does
eternally
your-
begets his personhood.
Why does a God derive his essence from something else, my friend?
Why? That's just an epistemic limitation. I
You're
don't know.
ridiculous. This is ridiculous. There's no reason that would justify that because God exists with his essence. He doesn't get it from somewhere
You would
else.
have to justify that there was no reason. The only way you could do that is like
you're-
a valid
where did the
deductive
Father-
argument.
Where did the
on-
Father get his essence?
Okay. If you're making the claim that there is no reason, you
Where
have
did
to
the
provide
Father-
a valid,
hold on.
like, deductive
Sir,
argument
sir,
as to
did
why
your
this
one
is
God-
absolutely no
I'm
reason.
gonna show you. Why does your one God derive his essence from something else?
Why? Once again, I
didn't
don't know
ask you
why that's
I
the
didn't
way
ask
it
you
carried
why.
out.
I didn't ask you why. I asked you, does your one God exist with his own essence for eternity, or does he derive it from someone else?
Well, he exists with his own essence for eternity.
Good,
Well,
so
not
the
his
Son
own,
can't
but
be your
with
one
the
God,
essence.
correct?
With the essence.
So your God, so the Son can't be your one God because his didn't exist with him. It derived from the Father.
You can each identify him as the one God because there's only one being of God. They're not separate.
So
the
so
sense
is your
of being
answer
being.
yes and no?
I just explained my answer.
No, when I asked you, does your one God exist with his own essence, or does he derive it from something else, from someone else?
Well,
What was your answer?
the one God? You're referring to the one God, which obviously we affirm is a triune God. But then you're also referring to this one God in the sense of conflating both of the hypostases when you're referring to the hypostases.
So,
it doesn't
so
really
you're saying
equate.
that you're one God. So I can't refer to your one God as one God.
Not what I said. What I'm saying
Okay,
is
so
when
when
you
I
say
refer to
one
your
God,
one
but then
God,
you're in
hold on.
reference to the hypostases,
No.
it doesn't make.
If I make a true statement, about your one God, does it apply through the person?
Yes, if it's in reference to the Usia.
Okay, good. Good. So your one God exists with his own essence, right?
Yes.
He doesn't derive it from someone else, does he?
Yes.
Okay, so anyone that derives their essence from someone else can't be your one God, my friend.
In the sense of like the actual Usia, the one being a God, deriving its essence from someone else.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, how many Usias do you have?
Once again, there's one Usia. The Usia itself
Good, so
doesn't
stop acting
derive
like
its
there's- stop
Usia-ness
acting-
from
stop
something
acting like
else.
there's so stop acting like there's some two Usias, one that
I
is
never
derived,
mentioned
one
two
that isn't.
Usias.
But you're entailing two because you're saying one derived from something, from someone, but the
No.
other one didn't.
The hypostases, the person derives it. The Usia
No,
itself,
we're
the one
talking-
being a
no,
God, does
we're
not
talking
derive it.
about that- oh,
That's what I'm
sir,
saying.
sir,
You're
we're not talking about the
committing what we
person.
call
We're
false
not talking about the
equivocation.
person.
You're
No,
equivocating
no,
the one
no.
God being
Be
like in
quiet,
the
bro.
sense of the one
Be
being.
quiet. Be quiet. Now I gotta mute you. So that's the most ridiculous nonsense. Now you're playing games.
Okay, what's the nonsense?
You are the one that said that the Usia is what makes the person God. So if it's about the Usia, then the Son derived his Usia from the Father. This is what you said. You didn't say that he derived his personhood from the Father.
Well, that I also said that too. I
But,
said that
we're
the
talking
Father
about the Usia,
begets his
correct?
personhood.
But are we talking about the Usia, correct?
Yes, we're talking about the Usia.
So where did the Usia of the Son come from?
It's an aspect of him being eternally begotten from the Father.
Good. So does your one God does he get his Usia from being begotten?
You're conflating one God again.
No, I'm not. I'm asking about the Usia.
You're conflating one God and then referring to
I'm asking
the
you about the
hypostases.
Usia. No, I'm asking you about the Usia that
Okay,
makes
so the
one
Usia
God.
itself, the one being of God, it doesn't derive its Usia from another being, like another
So why does
like
the
God.
Son do? So
The
does
person-
the Father, hold
You
on.
do
Does
realize that the
Father-
hypostases of the
hold
Son
on, sir.
isn't the Usia,
Sir.
right?
Sir, does the Father is he the God that has the Usia that's not derived from someone else?
Does God
Is
have
he
an
the source?
Usia that
Is the Father the source of the Usia?
the Father is the source, in the sense
Good,
of like
good,
of
good.
this
So,
where the Son
good.
and Holy Spirit
So is the
receive their
source your one?
personhood
Is
and
the
Usia.
source your one God? Is the source your one God or no?
The one God's in reference to the Usia, that there's only one
Simple
being
question.
of
Simple question.
God. I just answered.
Is your one God? Is your one God right? Is the source? Is he the source?
The one God, when we say one God, it's in reference to the Usia and the one being of God.
No. So you're not referring to the one person.
Because there isn't one person, there's three. Yes.
So there's no. So the Father is not one person.
The Father is a hypostasis, his own
Okay.
hypostasis.
Is your God?
There's only one Father.
Let me get this straight. Is your one God one person or three persons? Let's get this straight.
The one God is one God because there's only one Usia, one being. And this
Sir,
one
is
being,
your
this
God
Usia
one
subsists
person
in
or
the
three?
three
I
hypostases.
just want to know.
He's three persons, one being,
He's
one
three
God.
persons. So your one God is three persons, correct? He's not one person.
Mm-hmm.
Your God is not one person, correct?
He's not one person. That's true.
Good, good. Is the Father one person?
Yes. He's
So
his own
he
person.
can't be your God. So he can't be your God, correct?
Once again, this is what we call false equivocation.
Amazing.
You're conflating.
Amazing.
You've
It's
just
my
shown that
fault.
there's a distinction between persons and essence.
It's my fault. It's my fault. I know. I know. It's my fault that you think that your God is not one person, but he is one person at the same time.
I never said that the one God is one person. I said that the Father is one person.
Right. Right. Is the Father your one God?
The Father isn't. Once again, when you say one God,
Is the
you're-
Father your one
when
God?
you're
Yes or
using
no?
one God, it's in reference
is
to
your
the.
how many gods do you
Safe,
have?
Adine. Listen.
How many
When you're
gods do you
saying
have?
one God,
Look,
you
how many-
are
look,
using
I'm not
one God
playing
in
games
reference to
here,
the
sir.
Usia. The Father isn't the
Is
one
your
Usia, the
God-
one being
sir,
of God.
Is your one God the Father? Yes or no?
Is my one God the Father? In what sense is that is one God being referred
How many
to here?
senses do you have of a God? How many gods do you have? that
Okay,
you have
so I'll
multiple
explain the
senses of
Trinity.
what one God
God is
No,
it's
no, I don't
one.
want you to
I mean,
explain
oh,
the
do you
Trinity.
want? You
Hello?
just asked me a
Hello?
question, and how many
Hello?
senses? I'm
Hello?
explaining to you.
Hello, I'm asking you. In reality, how many senses of one God are there?
Okay, I'll explain. In reference to the Trinity,
in reality,
there's
sir,
only
in
one
reality-
sense.
Hello, hello.
I'm answering you.
According to reality, not according to your indoctrinated polytheism.
Yeah, if you ask according to reality, it presupposes that the Trinity's false.
It
That's just a
presupposes that
loaded
reality
question
is true.
to begin with.
Does
No,
it presuppose reality?
it presupposes that in reality the Trinity doesn't exist, which is a loaded question.
Is reality our standard for what is real?
Yes, and we're debating
So
on
let's
what
use-
is
so
true
why
within
can't
reality.
we use the standard? So why can't we use the standard of reality to establish what is true?
Because the way you're using it presupposes
Amazing.
that in reality God is not triune.
Amazing. So in reality, how many things do you require to be one God?
In order to be one God, you have to possess the one Usia fully.
So how many things in reality that possess this usia are required to make one God?
In order for it to be the one God,
One.
you just have to possess the one being, the Usia.
So no. How many things how many things require to exist? How many things require to exist?
For there
Right?
to be one
that
God.
have this usia for there to be one God. How many?
In any scenario, you need at least one person, one hypostasis.
At least one thing with that usia is sufficient to be one God. Why do you need more than that?
Well, that would be then an argument on Christianity versus Islam. That's true.
No, that's Christianity versus reality because we just established.
Well,
according
okay,
to
if you say
reality-
Christianity versus reality, once again, it
stop
presupposes
stop
that the triune God doesn't
Again,
exist in
reality,
reality.
we just established, according to reality, all we need is one thing to exist to be, with that usia, to be one God. That's what we agreed on. Right, so the Father has this abilities and this usia, so that's one God right there.
Okay.
Okay, why do you need anyone more than the Father?
Well, once again,
What's insufficient about the Father? What is wrong with him that he's not enough to be one God?
I'll explain. So there's multiple philosophical arguments, like problem of the one and the many, and those types of things that you could get into on why there would need to be a triune God versus a God that's just one hypostasis.
Yeah, we're not asking you about what the need for the triune God. I'm asking you what is wrong with the Father.
Yeah, that would be
he
an
is
example.
not-
For
what
example,
is, hold on,
if I
why-
provided
what
an
is
argument
wrong?
in which there would need to
So
be a
you're
triune
gonna
God
give
by
me a reason.
necessity,
Hold
that would be a
on. So you're
reason,
gonna give me
or
a
as to
reason
what is
why-
wrong with there just being
Sir,
one
sir.
person.
Sir, the reason has to entail the essential properties that make the Father fully God. They would have to, you would have to show that he's insufficient in his properties to be fully God, that he needs something else to establish and make him one God. How can something fully God not be enough to make one God, my friend?
Yeah, for example, I'll explain. So one of the reasons God would have to be triune is with a necessary being, a God, having to be maximally
Subhanallah.
perfect, an aspect
When
of
did
being
I
that.
ask you that? When did I ask you
You're
that? I
asking
never
me
asked you
why there just being one person, just like the Father,
No,
for
no,
example,
I
would
said-
not be
I asked
sufficient.
you- hello? I asked you what's insufficient about him. So you got to go.
Yes,
get
I'm
that
telling you what's
and show
insufficient
me-
about God just being
No,
one
no.
person.
What about his, you're not mentioning the properties.
I literally brought up a property.
Okay, good. What property did you bring
For
up?
example, let's take
Essential
love. Love is a property
Love is not an essential property, sir.
for a pure act being.
No, God is not. Look, what makes something God is his omni properties, not his attributes of love.
If God
you know,
existed, he would
wrath.
have to be pure acts, which include perfections
Sir.
of love.
Sir. A simple question. God exists with attributes. These are essential attributes, right? And attributes that entail his act of will. He has to will them, like his act of love. To show love, he would show it in a particular to a particular being that exists in time, and that's the act of love.
Yes,
Wrath.
okay, let's
He
take
would
that.
show wrath
In
in
order
his-
for him to
stop,
show
stop,
love-
Stop cutting me off. Stop cutting me off. Wrath is the same way. God has the ability to be wrathful, right? Does he enact this for eternity?
He would have to enact his love for eternity. Otherwise,
No,
it
I'm
would be
talking about
contingent
wrath.
and dependent
I'm
on
talking
creation.
about wrath. Him being wrathful. Is God wrathful for eternity?
Is God wrathful? In what sense would you define wrathful?
Yeah, wrathful is an attribute of God's anger.
Yeah, we would say that God is wrathful.
So who is your God angry at for all eternity?
Yeah, so he's wrathful in the sense that his justice, holiness, and hatred of sin are eternal attributes. That's how we would understand wrath.
Okay, so who does he enact this towards for all eternity?
Yeah, I mean, for eternity, he's like it. In that sense, it wouldn't need to be enacted upon. Like, for example, a hatred of sin.
But you just said he's pure act. You
Yes,
contradicted
no,
yourself.
okay,
You
so
said he's pure
it's
act.
it's
So stop.
it-
Stop being contradictory.
safe. I'm not
Be
contradicting.
consistent.
I already
You are.
explained
You
what
said he's
wrathful.
pure act.
Okay,
Did
I
you say
explained
he's
what we
pure-
understand as wrathful to mean.
Did you say he's pure act?
Yes. Now let me finish talking.
So now you're contradicting yourself.
Okay,
saying,
when did
oh,
I
this
say
is
God
not-
isn't pure act?
Sir, you said that wrath wouldn't be considered pure an act.
No, I never said that. This is why you need to listen. I said wrathful.
So-
We would understand God is wrathful in the sense of his justice, holiness, and hatred of
Right,
sin.
but he-
and those
but
are
he
our
would enact
eternal
this, right?
attributes. So let's take hatred of sin. He
So-
wouldn't
so I
need
asked you,
something.
who is he wrathful and angry? Who is he?
There wouldn't
angry
need to
at
be a person to
for
be
all
wrathful
eternity?
for in that understanding
who
of
is he
wrath
wrathful
because
against?
it's just an aspect. For example, a hatred of sin. There wouldn't need to be sin for God to hate. He can have a hatred of the sin in the sense that no matter what, any sin that ever occurs, he hates it. Eternally.
Okay.
There's never a time in
Okay.
which he loves sin. So he
you can
dislikes
apply
sin
the same
eternally.
reasoning. So you can. Does he enact wrath for eternity?
In act wrath, once again, we would understand that God is wrathful. It's in the sense of his justice, holiness, and hatred of sin.
Yeah, but does he enact wrath? Does
It's
God have the ability to
enacted in the
enact
sense
wrath?
that God eternally hates sin, that God's eternally
Does he
holy, and that
enact-
God's eternally
does he
just.
enact wrath? Does
Yes,
your God
and
enact
that's I
wrath?
just explained that to you.
Right. When he enacted wrath upon Sodom and Gomorrah, was that for an eternal act, or was it a specific time and place?
His judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah was temporal.
Yeah, was that for eternity? Oh, okay, it was temporal. So God is not pure act. He has attributes that he enacts within time as well, correct?
His eternal attributes also are acted upon within time.
Okay, so how does he enact his existence?
By existing eternally.
That's how he so
We would
it's an
define
ability-
exist, something that exists as
your
to be an act. So
does your
God's
God
just
have
always
will
act.
over, hold on. Does your God have will over his own existence?
In the sense that he could not cease to exist? No, because God
Yeah.
can't do things that are logically impossible.
Good. So God cannot do things that are logically impossible, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so does your God know that a man is not a God?
In what sense? Like in the sense that the human
In the-
nature is not the divine nature? Yes.
No, in the sense that a man is made from a human nature, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the human nature is possessed by a being that exists, correct?
Yeah.
And that human nature makes that being a man, correct?
Yeah.
Does he know that being is not a God?
That someone that possesses just the human nature is not a god. Yes, he knows that, and he knows that the human nature isn't
Does
God.
he know for someone to be a man, they require one human nature?
Yes.
No divine properties, correct?
In order for someone to be a man, all they need is to possess the human nature. That's what a man is. Yes.
Does your God know that a man does not possess any divine properties?
Well, you would have to justify that. That a man cannot also
It's a
possess the
question.
divine nature.
It's a question. Does your God know that a man
Yeah,
does
it's
not
what we would call a
possess
loaded
any
question.
divine? I'm asking you a simple question.
Yeah, it's a
Does
loaded
your God-
question. It presupposes that
No,
a
it's
man
not.
cannot possess the divine nature.
So you're saying
be a
that
hypostatic
a man
union.
has... No, we just agreed that a man does not have divine properties.
I said
Didn't
all
we
that a
agree on
man
that?
needs to. I never agreed with that. That's
So
why
we
you're
just
asking the
agreed that,
question that does your God
So
agree
what
that a
divine
man does not
properties
possess
are-
any divine
hold on.
properties?
What properties are within the human nature that makes a man have divine properties?
I didn't say every man possesses divine properties. I said
It's a
that
s- no,
it's
I asked you a
logically
simple
possible that a
question.
man could be a hypostatic union and be God and man.
I didn't ask you about a hypostatic union, did I?
You
We're
didn't bring
asking
up the
about your
hypostatic
God's
union.
knowledge.
I
We're
know,
asking you
and
about your
when you
God's
ask
knowledge
that-
upon what a man is, sir.
When you
Does
ask
your
that,
God
you're
know that it takes
asking a
one
loaded
nature-
question.
Does your God know that one nature, right, that makes something a man does not have no divine properties? Does he know this?
One nature that makes someone a man doesn't have any divine properties. Yeah, all it takes for someone to be a man is possessing the human nature.
Good.
Yes.
So for your God, when he decided to become a man, did he have one nature or two natures?
Two.
Amazing. So your God, did he not know? Did he not know that that a man has one nature and not two natures?
I said all a man needs to be a man is having the human nature. Obviously, the
Yeah,
Christ's
because your
human
God-
nature didn't also have the divine nature. Don't affirm that.
So the human Jesus didn't have the divine nature.
I said the human nature of Christ, the humanity did not possess
I
the
didn't
divine
ask
nature.
you about a human
Have
nature.
you read
I'm not
Cal-
asking you about, sir. I'm not.
What is a
asking you about
human?
nature.
What
I'm
is a
asking
human?
you about a human is an
Being that
adult
possesses
male,
the divine-
an
the human
adult
nature,
of
right?
The human species. A human is an adult.
An adult?
Is one of the human species. That's what a human is. A creation of God, which is.
And to be
I don't
human,
know
you
what the
possess
word
the human nature.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so someone that's human possesses the human nature. Perfect.
Okay. So your God, when he went to become a human.
Christ's humanity.
Hold on. When your
his human
God,
nature,
when your
he
God
possesses
decided to
divine
become a
nature.
human, when your God decided to become a human, was he a being with no divine properties or a being that had divine properties?
He was a being in the sense of a person that possesses the divine nature and a human nature.
So he did it. So did he go against his truth, his knowledge of what a man is?
I never even answered that. That's just
Okay.
what a man is. Once
So,
again, a man is
because
just
a
someone
man
who
doesn't-
possesses.
Sir,
In order to be a
doesn't-
human, you just
is a
possess the
man-
human nature. Christ's human nature.
Can you be a
didn't
man?
possess the
Can
divine
you be
nature.
a man? Hello. Can you be a man with divine properties?
In the sense that they mix in with your human nature.
No. I'm asking you a simple question. Can you be a man with divine properties?
Well, to be a man, you have the human nature. Human nature explains what
I'm not asking you-
what that
I'm
thing
not asking
is,
you what
i.e.,
makes a man.
what a man
I'm
is.
not asking you that. I'm asking you to be a man. You know, when your God sees a man, does he think that it had divine properties or no?
To be a man, you do not need divine properties.
It doesn't have them at all, correct?
I never said that.
So does your God know that men have no divine properties? Does he know this?
In the sense that the human nature has no divine properties. Yes.
I'm not talking about a human nature. I'm talking
Well,
about
that's-
a man.
okay,
How
what
can
is a nature?
how
Do you
can
know what a
man be
nature is?
man- How can a man be a man without a human nature, sir?
I'm saying he needs to have a human nature. A
Okay,
nature
good. So
is
stop
just
appealing
what
to
a
the
thing
human nature
is.
when I'm talking-
So that would include
Sir,
the
when I-
properties,
so when
etc.
hello. When I refer to a man, we're already talking about what we're the nature, correct?
Talking about the man, you're in reference to the nature. Yes. Well aware.
Good. So stop.
That's why I
acting
keep
like,
bringing up the
you're
human nature.
referencing- Yeah, don't bring it up because I already brought up by saying a man.
Okay, so
Okay?
why can't
So
I
when
just
we
use it
reference
if
the
we're using
nature-
it synonymously?
So stop using the nature when we're referring to the man that
If
has the
you
nature.
are affirming that when you say man, you're talking about the human nature,
Is
and
the
I
man
just
the
say
nature?
human nature, it
Sir,
means
sir,
the
is
same
the
thing.
man- sir, Is the man the nature, or does the man have a nature?
In order for a man to even be a man, that has the human nature. That's what the human nature is.
Good.
It's what
He
a thing
has
is.
it. He isn't it.
He
He
fully
isn't the
possesses it.
nature, correct?
No, he isn't the nature itself.
Good. So stop referring to the nature. We're referring to the man that has the nature.
When we talk about properties, the human
We're
nature
talking about the man that has
determines
the nature,
what
correct?
properties a human has.
No. We're
That's
talking
what a
about
thing
the
is.
thing that has. We're talking about the thing that has the nature. We're not talking about the nature itself. All right?
Okay.
Is
No,
that
the
okay?
person then.
We're
the
talking about
hypostasis.
the man. Is the man? Of course, the man is a person, right?
Okay, so then we're talking about the hypostases, right?
We're talking about the man.
By
know
man,
what a man
you're
is?
saying not it's not
Do
in
you know
reference
what
to the
the
human
man- do you
nature.
know what a man
So
is?
what is it in reference to?
So, is a man something without a human nature?
Is a man something without a human nature? In some sense, it could be the case. In some sense, it couldn't be a
Amazing.
case. For example,
Amazing.
there's
So,
man is used in
uh-huh.
reference to like a pig being male, or my dog's a man in the sense that he's male. Like it depends on what sense.
So somebody could tell you that that pig is a man?
In the sense of being male, yes. It depends on what sense you use the word. You could define man as tree and use that logically, and that follows. It depends on what sense you're using the word.
Amazing. Amazing. You can just use the word man for anything. Amazing.
This is painful, man.
In what sense are you using
Well,
man?
the
Are you
sake
just
would
in
be-
the sense of
well,
being a
that's
human
painful.
being?
Amazing. No wonder why you're doing the same thing with God that you're doing with a man.
What?
Yeah, you're just taking God. You're saying a tree can be a god, or a man can
No.
be a god. Anything with
So
the
you do know
usia
that
of-
definitions
Sir,
are
sir,
subjective, right?
I'm gonna ask you right now. Can anything possess the divine nature?
Other than God?
Can a man possess the divine nature?
While his personhood, yes. Possible.
I'm asking
Logically
about
possible.
about a man's nature.
Can I ask him a couple questions?
Okay, so can the
Yeah.
can the human nature then possess the divine nature? No.
Men.
Hey, what do you call? What's the name? Bungalow, whatever. Your name. Hey, quick question. Can the essence exist without the entity itself?
Wait, hey, hang on. Just before you do, we're defining men.
Bro,
Man.
what are you talking about?
Men. This is a man. Yes. Men.
Yeah, that's a
Wait,
man's
wait.
hat.
Yeah, you do know
Man.
words are subjective, right?
Man.
What's this?
I'm pointing at.
That's a
random
man
things
right there.
going on.
Okay, if you want to
That's
use
a
man and
right
define
there.
it as
It's a
like
nice
flip
pair of
flops,
man.
that's fine.
Man.
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 Did y'all just discover words are
Man.
subjective?
Man.
Amazing. This guy said words are
Did you
subjective.
think words were objective?
Amazing. What do you use words for other than?
You do know the meaning of words are subjective, right? Like I'll take for example
Amazing.
technology. In the 1800s, technology was in reference to, for example, brooms, cotton
So-
gins,
so that-
etc. Now technology is
does
in
that
reference to
justify you-
iPads and actual electronics.
Amazing.
Words are
Does that
subjective.
Does that justify you to coming up here and calling us technology?
No, I'm at what that justifies me
Good,
is to
good.
say what sense
you
do you
can't
mean
use
man?
words.
Because you could
So you
use
can't
man
use
in
words.
multiple different ways.
Hello. Can you use words in accordance to how they're defined in the English language?
You
in
can
the
use them
dictionary?
in how they're defined in the English language. You could use them in how they're
So
not
why
defined.
do you go against?
In a different definition.
Amazing. So you can make up what you want as you go.
That you can define a word however you want as
Simple
long as you're
question.
logically consistent.
Amazing.
There isn't anything logically invalid
Amazing.
with that. If you disagree, then show me
Amazing.
what is logically
Amazing.
invalid about that.
So okay, so why
Please.
do you have different? If you believe in one God, why do you need multiple, right? Multiple concepts of this God.
Protection.
What? Multiple concepts. What do you mean by concepts?
Yeah, why do you need more concept? You know what a concept of a
What
God
are you
is?
defining concept as?
Yeah, a concept would be an idea, a
Indeed.
fact, a proposition.
So, like, what would be an example of the multiple concepts of
One
God,
God.
within Christianity?
Concept of one God being God, unlike anything created. That's
Well,
one
that's-
concept. Then
You
there's a
can't
God
say that
that's
God is
created.
unlike anything
hold
to
on.
be created.
There's
That's created.
yes. That's what I just said.
Okay,
God is
so are you a
unlike
rational
anything
being?
that exists. Simple question.
Are you a rational being?
Yeah. Am I is my rationality identical to God?
Are you a rational being?
It's a simple
You
question.
didn't
Is
say
my
identical
Why are you guys
in
arguing?
the sense of like your
Sorry,
ration.
where's it
The rationality
So, again-
only has like one
again-
ontological substance. There's not
So-
degrees
so
or eminent
again-
forms of rationality.
So your rationality is comparable to God's rationality.
You said God is nothing like creation, not identical.
he's nothing
So,
like-
for
can
example,
you see,
if
like-
I'm
look,
rational
can you see-
being
sir,
and
sir,
God's a rational
sir, when you
being,
say I
I'm
can
like
see-
God in the sense that I'm
when you
rational.
say I can, hello. When you say I can see, you think you can see like God.
I didn't say identical. I could just like.
But
You
that's
said
what you're saying. You're saying
you said God
you're
is
saying
not
that God-
like
You
creation.
said I can see, therefore God can see. This is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You made the claim that God, nothing in creation is like God. For example,
are
I
you
could say
like God?
existence itself. I exist, God exists. Therefore, I'm like God insofar as
Do you
we both
so you're
exist.
comparing- right? Do you exist in the same manner?
No, I never said identically. I just said
Why
it's
are
like.
you comparing your so how are you saying your existence is comparable to God's existence?
In the sense that we both exist.
No.
Does God exist?
You don't exist in the same way. What are you?
I
talking
never
about?
said in the same way.
Your
I never said I'm
existence-
You are,
identical to
you're
God.
saying you are.
I just saying
You actually
insofar as us existing in this,
Because
if we define existence as to be an act, meaning we're actualized or actual,
Just because you're
I'm
grammar
actual as a
is
human,
limited.
God's actual as well. So we're both
Bungalows.
actual. We both
Listen,
exist.
listen. One second.
Bungalow. Just
Bug
because your
life.
terminology is limited, it doesn't mean that you exist with God in the same sense.
I never said
Just
same
because
sense.
you're short on words, it doesn't mean you can
I
attribute.
never
and
said
then-
same sense. I've said I didn't
You
mean
are,
same
you
sense
are,
like
you
6
are,
times, dude.
You are. You're saying just because God exists and I exist, we're the same. No,
No,
that's-
that's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly
I'm
what you
saying
said, guys.
he said God is
Okay,
not like
listen,
creation
okay,
at all, and I'm saying
Okay.
God is like creation in the sense that, for example,
vote of
I
hands.
exist and He exists. Now we exist in a different way, but if we
Quick
understand,
vote. Who said, did he or did he not say that because he exists and God exists, they share the same?
no, I never said that.
I'm
I
not
said
asking
in
you,
the
I'm
sense of
asking
us being an
everybody
act.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking everybody else.
What was the question, bro?
Did he or did he not say that because God exists and he exists, now they share the same thing? Did he say
said
that?
He said he is like God because
There you go.
We are both an act.
which
both
brings me to my question, if possible, very quick. Bug life. Does
Love
this
you, John.
staircase
God bless.
exist?
Yes,
Is this staircase therefore like God?
in the sense of being an act. Yes,
There's no.
like, not identical to.
Because I
What's
can't
the
clap. I
act?
don't have to
What's
use
the
it.
act? One is enacting on another. God has created your existence.
Okay, I'm well aware of
So
that.
there is not, there
To
is no
exist
similar
is to
act.
be an
There is no
act, meaning you're
similar-
actualized,
No,
right?
no. You exist as in you came into existence, right? That's different. God's presence is what you're trying to call existence.
I'm not
It's
saying
not
that
the
we're
same as
identical in the
existence.
means of how we
The act is
exist.
in
or
act is not
where
in the
I
same,
came
not
from.
in the act, not in the definition, not in the concepts, not in the essence. None of it is the same.
That's just a that's just a false equivalence. I mean, ultimately, it's a
Wait,
straw man.
wait,
I'm not saying that
I'm
we
not
we
making it
exist in this
equivalent.
we're in
Yeah,
like
that
the
doesn't
same
make
exact sense or
Bro,
same
I'm
way.
gonna have to keep muting you because you don't. You just talk.
Well, I
and you
shouldn't
don't
have to
listen.
clarify myself. This
You're
way.
the one. You should because you're the one being a hypocrite.
What
You're
did I
the one
say that
going back on
contradicted?
your words. Foot in the mouth syndrome comes
When did
out
I
of you.
contradict myself?
The reality, because you said first that you because you shared existence, now kind of the same. Then you said in the
No.
act, and now you're saying that you're not false equivalence. You're the
No,
one.
that's not what I
making
said.
false
I've
equivalence.
clarified what I said multiple times. I said God is like creation, for example, in the sense that He exists being meaning to be an act, and I exist.
And what
I'm
part-
an act,
and
God's
what
an
part-
act. Now we're in
what-
act in
what-
different
what
senses,
part-
and we exist in different
Okay.
ways, but we both
And
exist.
what part of you coming into existence is a completely different concept of existence than God's presence? God's existence, God's is being God, right? You're short on words to describe an existence, but you did not enact on him as in he enacted on your existence.
I never
It's the same. It's not in the
I
same.
never
it's not the
said we
same.
both came about in the same way.
I didn't say about. You said.
Okay,
it's
so
an
then why are you bringing up the way in
you're
which I
trying-
came about,
you're
or
playing
the way in which I
semantics.
existed?
You're
came into
playing
existence?
semantics. You're playing semantics. You're saying
No, but the whole thing,
your existence
the
and his
whole-
existence. Existence is existence. It's not. Existence is not existence.
No, I'm not
the
saying that
concept
we.
or
Once
reality.
again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm not saying we exist in the exact same way.
No,
I'm just
that's
saying
what you said when
I'm
you-
like
sir,
God in the
sir,
sense
sir,
that we both do
sir.
exist. I specifically
Sir,
said that we do
Sir,
exist in different
what part
ways.
of light don't you understand? What part of light don't you understand?
What are you
When I
using like
asked
as?
you,
I'm
there's
using like
nothing-
as something
when
that's.
I said hello, when I said there's nothing like God, you disagreed with me.
Yes, I'm using like not in the sense of being identical, but being
So
similar,
what
or
he's
having
saying,
some
say,
connection.
What he's saying, there is a God and there is a bug love. That means now there, which is the most idiotic thing to ever to try to argue, because that's not no way in any form of shape is any form of comparison here. No, you don't share anything in that. You being existing or you being real and God being real, you don't share anything in this in any form of essence or anything otherwise.
Identically, no. In some sense, yes.
Dude,
Not even-
dude, it's
not
only,
even by
sir,
definition.
It's only the terms.
By
Only
definition,
the
if we
terms.
take the definition
Sir,
of
sir,
like to
sir,
be having similar qualities or
being-
characteristics
yo,
to another
hello.
person or thing,
Well,
I
clearly-
have similar
clearly-
qualities to
you
God in
don't
the
know
sense
who-
that
Do you
we
really
both
don't know
So
who
are
you-
actual.
No.
I can
So
see
you
you can
believe that
have
you have the same quality of sight that your God does.
I didn't say identical. I said similar.
You just said.
I
no,
literally
that's
specifically
similar.
said that when I use like,
What does
I
similar-
don't mean in
define
identical,
similar.
but I
Define
mean in similar.
Define similar. Define similar.
You want to go to the dictionary?
It's not identical. The point is, it's not identical. Nobody's claiming that you said identical. But what
Resembling
you
without
said-
being
what you
identical.
said you
That's how
share.
similar is defined.
What you said is you share. You have similarity. Similarity means not identical.
I never said
Similarity
identical.
is
Once
some
again,
similarity.
I specifically said that when I use like, I'll read the definition again.
Not
I'm
even
defining
a-
like as having similar qualities or characteristics to another person or thing,
That's not,
not
a
being
quality.
identical.
That's not a quality. This is the point. It's not a quality whatsoever.
Qualities or
There
characteristics.
there is a creation called bug love, and there is a creator called God. Is not sharing any form of qualities.
Of course. And to add to that, the cherry at the top
Say
is
to
that
Dean,
Real quick,
you're
I
my
want to define
lover.
quality as
Say
well.
to Dean, I
it's not
miss you.
necessary.
I'm a gay Muslim, like say. He's
I would define quality as a distinctive attribute or characteristic possessed by
Just a
someone
moment.
or
Just a moment.
something.
Just a
You
moment.
guys got a flag.
put the
Can you
cherry
guys
at the
flag that
top.
guy?
You
What
just
was I
What's
saying?
wrong
To
there?
put the
I don't
cherry
know
at the
what's wrong with
top.
that guy. Excuse my language.
Put the cherry at the top.
Charity. Yeah, go ahead. Bro.
Your existence, bug loves, is not necessary, but the existence of God is necessary. Meaning, without God, nothing can exist. But without you, everything else can exist, and it doesn't make any difference.
Did I
So
say-
that's why
did I say
even
we
if
exist in
you
the same
say
way?
that, then it's not the same.
I say that our existence
God's
identical.
existence is a necessary existence.
Nobody's talking about
While
identical,
your
Bozo.
existence
We're
is
saying you said
nothing.
exists.
So-
Similar.
Yes.
You said similar.
It's
That's wrong.
similar.
It's nothing.
It's
That's
similar
wrong.
in the sense that we are
Phonetically-
both in act. Now
phonetically,
we
you're
are
making it
different.
sound phonetically similar.
Okay, once
But
again,
it doesn't-
similar does
there's
not
no
mean identical.
comparison.
Similar does not mean identical. So obviously there's
when
some
are you
difference.
gonna
For example,
learn-
God's existence.
When are you going to learn to drop the word identical? Don't unmute yourself because you're going back on mute. When are you going to learn that nobody is using the word identical? You keep putting this word in the middle of it like a Wednesday in the middle of the week. You are trying to scapegoat and find your exit out the door through this identical. You use the word identical, no one ever associated. We're holding you accountable to the word similar. Similar, sharing some, 10%,
Okay.
1%, whatever it is.
Okay,
You're
some.
playing phonetics. You're using phonetics. You're using your limited knowledge of English.
Yeah,
to try to find
Okay,
something
let's take that.
similar.
If
And
some,
the
right?
problem-
10%,
hold on,
1%,
hold on.
whatever.
No, we're not gonna
I
play
am
with this
similar
sum.
to
And-
God.
no.
I'm like God in
No.
the sense that I
No,
exist.
you're not. No, you're
So
not.
not even. So I do not have any act. I'm not actual at all. Not even 1%.
You're not logically.
Hello?
Both
I'm not
philosophically
logically in
wrong.
act. I'm not logically in act.
So, Buck, are you saying that your God is not unique?
When did I ever say that?
Is your God unique?
In some
every
senses,
sense.
yes. Yeah.
In every
So
sense,
your
100% unique.
no, your God, does your God exist in parts or is he a whole thing?
He's a whole. He doesn't exist in parts.
Good. Is your God the whole? Is he unique? Or are there other things like him?
You could say it depends on what sense. Like in some senses he's unique, in some others he's not unique.
I mean, so no, if you're unique, you
Oh
can't
my
be.
God.
If you're unique, there's nothing else that can be like you. Simple question.
So,
It's a simple thing. I don't know why you gotta make it so complicated. Is he unique?
Am I
yes or
unique?
no?
are you comparing
Yes,
yourself
you
to
are.
God?
I am
are
unique.
unique.
Okay, but I'm not unique in the sense that we're both humans.
No, you are unique. No, you are unique.
So I'm
You're a
also unique in
human
the sense
being.
that we're both
So you're not
humans.
so you're not a unique human being. You're identical to every other.
No,
human
my
being?
point is I'm unique in some
But let's not
senses.
play
I'm
ga-
not
sir,
unique
sir.
in some
Okay,
in
why
other
are you
senses.
breaking yourself? Why are you breaking yourself up into pieces?
Well, A, I'm a composite being. B, just because I'm
Right,
saying
so
in
when-
some
when we're
senses and
talking
other,
about you,
I'm
first
not.
of all, when we're talking about you, are we talking about parts of you, or are we talking about all your parts together that make you you?
I'm saying it
can't
depends
apply
in what sense you're referring it to. If you refer
I'm
to me as like a
referring to
whole
your
being in
whole
general,
being, sir.
yes, I'm unique, but in specific
Good,
senses,
good. So stop
not
acting-
fully
so
me in
stop
general,
act-
I'm
sir,
not
sir.
unique. That's what I said.
Stop acting like when we're referring to your God, you can break him up and make him into other things. Like there's differences and distinctions between your God and himself. If your God is unique, that's your whole God. It's not half of him, not his spirit. We're talking about all of him. If your God is not unique, then tell us. There's no I want to have it both ways.
Okay, I got similar question, but another one. Okay, I want to go back to the point about essence, right? You know, the whole discussion about your God, you know, how he's in the essence of one versus the hypostases of three. Okay, couple of questions. First, does essence exist, or can essence exist without the matter, without the entity?
So like just completely not.
Not in definition, in existence. In actuality, can essence exist without matter, without the entity itself that defines it,
No.
or that it defines? No. Perfect. Okay. So your God, is your God an entity, a deity as an entity, or is it pure essence?
Well, define entity.
I said matter.
Matter?
Yeah.
So far as that definition,
it's
no,
let me-
but I would
let me
argue
give
that
you another definition. Hang on, let me give you another definition, just so you don't, because I think you're going to have your own definition of matter, and I don't want to go there. Essence in the fact that, or sorry, entity in the fact that whatever essence it has, it defines it, as in it exists. Without the entity, the essence, as you agreed, would not exist. So the entity that must exist, entity, if you want, it's something tangible in sense, right? That it has to have the essence in order to define it. So does God exist as a deity, as an entity, worshipful entity, right?
he,
Does it?
he
Does God
exists.
exist?
God
Yeah,
exists.
does God exist as an entity, right? As a deity and a worshipful entity? Does he exist in that sense?
Yes, he exists in the sense of like being a like actual thing, something in act.
A worshipful entity.
A worshipable entity.
Worshipable,
If you're
yeah.
using, well, you use entity in the sense of having matter, like actual physical parts. No,
I didn't say physical parts.
you said
Matter doesn't
entity is the sense of matter, something with matter.
have- entity in the sense of being, as in existence, as in
To be an act.
yeah, meaning you can't have essence on its own right? It has to, essence has to define the entity of itself,
Yeah,
right? We're
God
not gonna
exists
break
in
it
act.
down to
Yeah,
say, yeah, your entity is different than God's entity. We know that. You as a human being, God's entity is different, right? You agree? I mean, a human cannot have the same entity as a God would, correct?
sure.
Right. Okay. So again, essence cannot exist on its own. Your God or God, as you define it, is an entity, is an existing worshipable entity, right? To which it has an essence that defines it. Correct. Is this entity divisible?
In the sense of being composite, God's entity, can it be broken up into parts?
Yeah. Is it divisible?
No.
Beautiful. Okay. So can you tell me how is God indivisible as an entity, which is not the essence, but it has an essence that describes it, can be broken down into hypostases, which hypostases suggest that there's some sort of rank, or at least there's three parts.
Yeah. When we say, so you're asking
I don't
like,
want
how
you
is
to-
God not
I don't want-
composite if he has
listen,
three
listen,
hypostases?
Let me be very clear. I don't want you to revert back to, to the knowledge that you have, and you're going to fall back to. I'm asking you to work it through and try to see if how the dots connect, right?
Well,
to explain it.
When you
I
say
don't want you to
composite,
skip and go back to your
how are we
understanding.
using
You're from
composite?
somebody from Bible school. So what I'm asking you is, we agreed essence cannot exist on its own. You have to have an undivisible entity for which the essence defines it, and that is God. We've agreed on that so far. I've asked you, is it divisible? That entity, the worshipable entity, is it divisible? We said no, right? So now my question is, how is that indivisible entity worthy of worship, right? Which has a God-like essence and whatever attributes that come with it. How is that then becomes a hypostasis of three?
Yeah, we wouldn't. Your argument, your contentions on
I'm not
if God is
arguing, I'm
not
asking.
composite, how can there be hypostases?
I'm not arguing, guy. I'm asking.
Well, there isn't something logically invalid. Like if
What-
if it's not
where's the
possible
logic?
for it to happen, then it would
Here's what logic says.
you'd have to be able to
Here's
show
what
that it's
logic
logically
says.
invalid.
I'm gonna imagine a piece of paper in front of you. We're gonna divide it down the middle. Left side are gonna be givens, and the right side we're gonna put some reasoning. Okay, some reasons. The givens. Essence cannot exist on its own, right? Is God an essence? No, because God has to be a worshipable entity, indivisible. Those are the givens that we've agreed on. Leave ChatGPT for now. Leave it.
I'm typing it on a Google Doc. I have my screen shared for the YouTube live.
Okay. So, but are you with me? Right? Essence, it doesn't exist on its own. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to. There's a worshipable entity which the essence would describe, and that worshipable entity cannot be divisible in any form. Okay. So then my question is, how does that indivisible entity worthy of worship with its godly essence becomes three hypostases?
How? Ultimately, from what's been revealed, it's the person of the Father that eternally begets the Holy
Indivisible
Son.
entity. Listen to my question. Indivisible entity, not the essence. Indivisible entity, which has an essence that describes it. It's an indivisible entity.
Yeah. So when you say
I
indivisible,
think they understand what indivisible means.
well, what sense are you using indivisible? There. Like when we understand
You gotta
indivisible,
understand it.
it's
And so,
normally being referenced to
If
being
I was
like
to
broken down
worship
into
this
parts.
entity,
Cass, you
I
broke
gotta
up.
worship the entity.
you broke up.
The indivisible entity itself, right? How could that be possible if it exists in the three hypostases? Which of the three I would worship? And I am an imperfect person. How do I make sure I don't worship one more than the other? But again, still doesn't make sense, because indivisible entity worthy of worship that has the essence of God, how does that become three hypostases? And how is it possible to ever equally worship the three?
Whether
you're
you
even
equally
able to
worship the
divide
three doesn't matter. They're each
It matters.
the one God.
It matters.
Why does it matter?
No, because remember, the entity is one, indivisible, that has the essence.
You just
So-
want three things to, you just want three things to be God so badly. It's like you can't even be consistent
Yeah. So
to
what?
say, okay, one
Once
thing
again,
is God.
Kazuki, what is it? Why does it matter?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Take care, guys. Good luck.
Why does what matter?
You're talking about like how do we worship the three hypostases equally? Why does that
No,
matter?
no, 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 no. No, I tried to explain. I tried to give you an example to show you my problem, but the point still stands. How do I take? Remember, essence on its own doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Meaning, God cannot be purely essence, right?
Yeah.
So God has to be, if you're truly a monolithic faith, God has to be one indivisible entity with its essence, with its godly essence, or you're going to break that indivisible entity into three, which makes it divisible, and then you're no longer a monolithic faith.
Yeah. We
That's-
don't
that's
divide the
pure
essence.
reason.
When we say, that's why I asked you what your
essence
definition
on
of
its own-
indivisible
but
means.
essence on its own cannot exist. You agreed to this. Essence on its own cannot exist, right? In fact, Thomas, what's his name? One of the early Christians, Aquinas, Thomas Aquinas, right?
Minus.
Yeah, he confirmed that essence cannot exist on its own. So if essence cannot exist on its own, it requires the worshipful entity. Okay, this worshipful entity needs the essence, has the godly essence, but the essence requires the worshipful entity. Okay, which, to be truly monolithic, the entity cannot be divided.
Yeah.
So how does that
Yeah.
one?
How does the hypostases divide the
How
essence?
does, I'm not talking about the essence. I'm talking about how does the one indivisible entity, indivisible worshipful entity, becomes three.
The hypostases don't divide it. Like, how do the hypostases divide this one being?
That's what hypostasis is. What do you mean?
A division?
The hypostasis is the concept of the three. Even back in the early Greeks, when they said the hypostases, early Christians they tried to argue around this, and the early Christians had a problem with this because hypostases, especially coming from the Greek background, suggest there is inferior forms. There's a hierarchy of sort.
There's an economic hierarchy in the sense of rules. Not in
Yeah,
power.
exactly. So at the end of the day, and that's kind of where I was going with it, where how can I even worship one more than the other? But I don't want to go there because I lose the point.
Yeah, but then he affirmed this. He affirmed this, Cass, when he said that the essence. When I asked him where did the essence of the Son come from, he said from the Father.
Right. He agrees with this. So there is a hierarchy. We agree with it. But the
Yeah.
point is this.
The hypostases
But the
don't
point-
divide the Usia, dude.
But they do divide
How?
because they're three.
Wait, when do we ever even affirm that?
Is hypostasis one or three?
The hypostases don't divide the essence. The hypostases, there's three hypostases. But
I'm
the
not
essence,
dividing the essence. Whoa. I'm not dividing the essence. You see.
I said
okay, let
the
me-
hypostases existing don't
respectfully,
divide the
Bug
essence.
Love, respectfully, let me explain this to you. Here's maybe I should have been more explicit. I was trying to be sort of implicit, and somehow we hope that you land on this. But here's what I'm trying to point out. Christianity taught you to hide behind the essence. The essence is purely smoke in context of the Trinity. The essence has no value without the existence of the entity itself, the worshipful entity.
The persons.
And so the worshipful entity is in Trinity is three: Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost. But in reality, that's not monolithic.
If you're using entity in the
all the
sense of
three of them.
hypostases, it's three.
No, no. You see, again, you try to unify the three under essence, but
Because
that
there's
is
only one
still
essence. Like, for
polytheism.
example, we affirm
But
that
that
for
is
something, for there to
polytheism.
be
Listen,
three beings or
tell
three
me,
gods, there would
tell
have to be
me
three
Trinitarians are
separate
polytheism.
instantiations of the Usia. Like, for example, with humans,
The
the reason we're
Usia,
not just one
is what?
human
The
being
Usia
is because
what?
each
Is
human
the
has their
essence?
own separate
The Usia is
instantiation
what?
of the human nature.
But guy, is Osea the essence? You
Yes.
see, yes, exactly. You see how what you just confirmed what I said a few seconds ago. You're taught to run to the essence. The essence
Nothing
means
wrong with going to the
nothing.
essence.
Because
Oh, no.
yes, there
It,
is.
it, it's like you remove a
There
pivotal
is. Let me
part
come
of the
in.
Trinity and how it works, and then just say you can't
Let
use
me
that.
come in.
You had bro,
You're
Habibi, you had
removing the
to-
explanation for why something is this way,
Yeah,
and then
Thug love. You run to the essence again. You just proved the case in point. You ran to the essence. I told you. Tell me you're a polytheist. I'll say we're done. I agree. But
you
didn't
can
tell me
literally.
I'm a
This isn't
monolith.
logically valid at all, dude. I could do the same
It
thing.
is
You're
very
running the
logically
words. You're
valid.
using words that
You're
convey
right.
this right now, or
Bro, I'm telling you.
using.
You and
You're
I
thinking.
agreed
You're
the
using
essence-
a mind. You guys run to
You
your
and I
mind in order to
agreed.
debunk it.
You
Like
and
it's
I
so.
You want him not to
It's
use
so
the
stupid.
mind?
No, the point is.
You and I agreed that the essence cannot exist without the worshipful entity. Right?
Without
And
a
you and
person
I
or hypostasis
agreed the
for this
worshipful
subsistence.
entity cannot be divisive. It cannot be divided. Right?
In
So-
what sense? When we
How
say
do you
divide,
worship-
when I say indivisible,
worshipful entity,
that's why I
how do you
asked you
worship?
twice now
Can
what the
you
definition of
worship-
indivisible
You're
is,
asking me a
which I
question
haven't
and
gotten.
you're moving on
I
to
said
argue.
indivisible, I understand
Bro,
it
you got
cannot be
listening-
broken
you got
down into
listening
parts.
Problems. You got listening problems. You asked me how. I'm explaining to you how. A worshipful entity. Okay? How do I worship more than
Define
one?
indivisible.
I'm defining. Do you even? Are you
Why are
even
you bringing
listening?
up worshipful entity?
Because that's the point. What's the point of God's existence? So you can sit there and just argue about it?
No, that
Or about
I'm
worship?
asking you what
God's existence
whether
over the worship.
talking about the worshipful entity
You're
doesn't
asking and you're
define
not- You're
indivisible.
not listening. Stop asking and answering your own goddamn questions.
Define indivisible.
I just explained to you, bozo. Stop talking. And worshipful means you have to worship it. Worshipful means you have to be loyal and fully dedicated. Worshipful to it. The point of God's existence is to worship it. So the essence requires the existence of a worshipful entity. If you cannot worship it, it's not God. So you gotta worship it. If I can't worship it fully, it's not monolithic, if anything, right? And so, for me to worship the entity, or to have a worshipful entity with the essence of God, either you become a polytheist if you're going to hold on to the hypostases, or you have to understand and worship the one true entity, which you agreed it would become indivisible. That's the only way you can go about it to be a monolithic.
Okay, so I wrote down everything you said. I asked you for the definition of indivisible. You said worshipable means you have to worship it to be loyal to it. The point of God's existence is to worship it.
understand that
The
point, though?
essence
Do you
requires the
understand that point?
existence of a worshipable
understand
entity.
that point?
I'm
you
reading it
understand
out,
that
and I just want you to show me where in what you said is the definition of indivisible. If you can't worship it, you can't worship God. If you can't
Do you
worship it
understand
fully,
that
it's
point?
not monolithic.
Okay,
To have a
bro,
worshipable entity, you become a polytheist
bro.
with hypostases, or worship the one entity. So where in what you said is the definition of
Shut up.
indivisible?
Shut up. Now I'm going to explain to you.
I just want the
Where-
definition.
Where does worshipful means it cannot be it can be
All I want is the
it cannot be
definition of
divisible.
indivisible.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
I
You're
wrote
so
down
thick.
everything you said. I
So
can read it out again. You
so
didn't
bad
mention
that-
indivisible a single time. Dude, like these guys cannot be real, bro. Mashallah. That's so fun. I literally wrote down every single thing he said. None of this. There was one other sentence where he like kind of restated the same thing, but nowhere in this does he ever define indivisible. That's all I wanted. To define indivisible. Like these guys, bro. Silly little guys. And as for here, I wanted to do the thing remember when I brought up like God's attributes? Let me find it. When I was talking about why the Trinity was necessary. So here, this is what I was saying. So essentially, like when it comes to a triune God, right? An aspect of an aspect of God, or the first cause, is like maximally perfect, necessary, possessing all perfections eternally, etc. One of these perfections is love. Love by nature is a relational thing, i.e., for example, it requires a lover and a beloved, or something to love. So if God is unipersonal, meaning only one hypostasis, he couldn't actualize love eternally without creating another, which makes him dependent on creation to be loving, which violates him being pure act. You see the problem here? That's what I was trying to explain with the love thing. So since God his attributes exist eternally, and these happen, right? For example, being all powerful, all loving, hatred of sin, etc. If there is nothing to love, since love is a relational thing, in order to love something, there needs to be something else for you to love. It requires a lover or something else, which then, since this is an eternal act, that means that there must be some aspect of creation that would have to be eternal, or something else that's eternal. So because of that, since let's take the Islamic paradigm, they don't affirm that anything else is eternal outside of like Allah, right? And these types of things. Like Allah is the source and creation. There would need to be another person or hypostasis to love. That's why there would need to be, for example, the hypostasis of the Son or the Holy Spirit. Another thing you could argue is like God is a personal and rational God, right? And for these perfections to exist eternally, there would need to be something for it to be personal with. See what I mean? And just FYI, actually, I'm going to do this on the argument against, like, my argument for God's existence. I will actually create a thing that God would have to be triune. I don't know if I'll add it as part of the argument because it's already complex enough, but I might add, like, probably towards the bottom, an argument from, like, now with that being said, you can, like, narrow down what God it is by arguing that it would have to be triune by necessity. Because then that, like, knocks out Islam and the certain sects of Hinduism, all these other things. Because then you'd have, like, really, there isn't another religion that has a pure act triune being. Yeah. Ask who did Allah love before creating, bro. Usually something. Yeah. They might just say, like, the Quran or something. I'll have one that, like, I'll make sure that Islam doesn't have a response to it. And technically, what I just argue for is for, like, 2 persons. I might do one for 3. I don't know if it's possible though, but I'll for sure do one for it being at least 2 persons. I don't know if there actually is an argument in which you could argue by necessity it'd have to be specifically triune, which is like dual. Yeah, I'm just not gonna add it to the main argument. I'll add it like down here. It should be a very simple explanation. if it ends up being a very complex thing, I might just write a separate doc for it. It depends. I'll debate it a couple times and see where that goes. You can walk? All right. Then I'll look into that. Because as far as I'm aware, like, I only know ones for 2, but I have some people I can talk to that could probably help me find ones for 3. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's scout the scene. I'm gonna mute them now. Mute the TikTok lives now. Oh, I got invited. What's up, y'all?
Subhanallah, subhanallah. My father's testimony is true. I believe him. Any Muslim that tells you something, believe him, unless he is a lying person. Then you verify.
That's you know how humans can work out. You know, everything the parents says. You know, they kind of twist the truth sometimes. You know that.
Yeah.
If you're a parent, you should know. I'm a parent.
I just want to because
Let me say something to Exo.
I've not even landed my point yet.
We need to understand Brother Eso, but Michael, look, he is a very good brother, mashallah, very logical. He has good understanding of the Quran, but if there's any differences, maybe we can try to help him. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say, he said he got it from his father,
okay,
he got it from his grandfather.
Do Cosmic Skeptic?
Say
You want
one
me
of
to
his
debate,
great grandfathers got something
I
wrong.
really just
and it's
forget his
been
name.
passed down,
Alex
he just got
O'Connor?
wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that would be cool. He would never debate me, bro. He doesn't even stream. Like, maybe if I was bigger. I don't think, like, Sig could get a debate with him. Jay Dyer could. Like, I'd have to be Jay Dyer's size to get a debate with him. But I would be into that. Let me check. I have some school I need to do. Like, it's literally, all I have to do is go to this place at, like, a specific time today. What is it? Okay, it's not even open for another hour. I just gotta go do this one specific thing. Oh, it's a guy on TikTok. Yeah. Is he on? Alright, I'll check him out. Hold up. I got invited and they didn't even talk to me. Cosmic Skeptic. Let's see what's up. Well, what's his... Is it like a different guy? Like, is he live? Cosmic Skeptic. Oh. Or did you just misspell it? Am I actually that slow? I might be that slow. Yeah, like, I don't know of another Cosmic Skeptic. Is it actually Alex O'Connor? Yeah, Alex O'Connor would never debate me, bro. I'm not big enough. I don't know how long it'll take for me to actually get on here. Why is sometimes, like, randomly this will shoot up? Oh, hello, what's up?
What's up, bro? Longest time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, bro. So how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I thank Jehovah. Hope you're feeling okay.
Yeah, your volume's really low. Like, I can barely hear you.
What about now?
It's a little better. You're still, like, your volume's still low.
Sure? Are you sure is my mic? I don't think it's my mic.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's for anyone else, but, like, I have you on max volume. I can barely hear you.
Dexter. What about Dexter?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but you're not loud. But I can hear you. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't have to strain. I can hear you.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back a different time, Albert.
You're not as loud as everybody else, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, man, I can hear Albert.
I'll come back a different time.
Okay. Let's Monistar speak with you if my voice like.
Yeah. I can't. I don't want to have y'all deal with that. And I don't want to deal with that. I can barely hear him.
Okay, can you tell me
all this girl,
99 characters Allah has?
All this girl does is like rage bait and never invites anyone the entire time. That's her whole shtick. She says like some diabolical thing as a prompt, and then doesn't bring anyone up except for her own friends. Convinced me to become Catholic. Oh, leave Catholicism. I don't know if I want to debate these people. Yeah, I don't even think there's any good lives on, so we'll just do a react. I know, she's so, like, I've never heard her debate, but all she does is, like, rage bait on there. Kind of funny. Is there even any debates right now? That, like, obviously, I don't want to do crowd ones because we're so loud. And, like, I can't hear. Let's see. I don't know. Well, let's, what should we, is there any, like, recent debates I can react to? Should I see if there's other lives? Here. There's a couple more people. I have them muted. I'm not going to show the screen yet. I'm going to see, like, what's up. I don't want to debate the Catholic Mary guy, because, like, we buried him last time. On the Mary thing, the Mary healing revelation. That poor girl. Okay, I don't know if you know this guy. Hold up. I'm gonna share my phone screen. Do you see Pope for Influence? I thought this guy was Muslim. I've literally never heard him debate in my life. Like, he's always on a Muslim panel and he's never talking. Literally never talks. Bro, just like be chilling up there. This guy can't debate for his life. They're already in a debate. I don't know if I want to do like a live or it's gonna be like a 1v6. I'll say hi. Yeah. You watched the Chachi debate. She debated some girl. It's on YouTube. Oh, I got invited.
Yes.
Yo, what's up?
Yes, man. How are you?
I'm good. I wanted to watch the Chachi debate. Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to answer the question on the prompt?
Sure.
Please.
I can barely see it. Believe their God is cursed. What?
Christian.
Change the layout.
I can't change anything. I don't know.
We believe our God is cursed.
If you give me mod, I can
Yes.
change it for you.
Not your Bible.
Yeah, I mean, we believe that in some sense, yeah, that's true. We do believe that Christ is cursed.
And Christ is God?
Is Christ God? Yeah, the person of Christ is God.
Remember that Christ is God. Jesus is a human, correct?
They're the same person.
No, they're not the same person.
You mean they're not? Like, biblically they're not? Or are you just saying they're not?
Talking about hypostatic properties. Because
Hypostatic union?
yeah, the Christ cannot be the Jesus. Because Jesus is not all-knowing. Christ was all-knowing, correct?
They're the same person.
No.
Like, let's just go to scripture. Can you show me in scripture that Christ and Jesus are different people?
Yes, yes. I give you right.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, like, could you speak up a little bit? Because I can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry. You can't hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Like, for example, when Jesus was sleeping, can God sleep?
The divine nature doesn't sleep.
Thank you. So that divine nature called Christ, which he was mentioned in the old scripture, correct?
The divine nature is Christ isn't just a term for the divine nature. Like
He is. That's how we've been described in the old scripture.
even if like let's grant that, right? You do realize that just shows that there's a hypostatic union because we affirm that there's one person, two natures.
You went against it. I am the one granting you. I'm telling you, the Christ you worship as God, he had two nature. One of them is divine, one of them is human, right?
Oh, I thought you said two. He was two persons.
No. It's
Oh,
one
okay.
person.
Yeah, two natures. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So when we say in Christ, we're referring to his divinity, correct?
When we say Christ, I mean we're just referring to the person. But if you want to use Christ to refer to the divinity, then sure.
That's how Bible refer to, not me.
Okay.
Let's put it this way.
I don't
When
feel like
Mary
debating
gave
him on
birth,
this. It's so
she
niche.
gave birth to what? To a human being or to God?
Well, she gave birth to God in the sense that the person of Christ, person of Jesus, came out of her womb. The divine nature was, while
So what-
omnipresent, still also.
What was called? The flesh called Jesus or the spirit called Jesus?
Well, the name of the human, like in his human nature, you could say, I guess he was called Jesus.
The human nature of your God was called Jesus, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But his divinity was called Christ. Why? Because the divinity never called Jesus, unless you bring me evidence.
Well, yeah. So like Jesus was just the name that he was given at birth. But we use the name Jesus and Jesus Christ in reference to the person of Christ, the Son of God.
I got you. What I'm trying to say, when we're talking about Christ, can we say Jesus appeared?
Christ,
in the
like
Old-
even with Christ, do you know what Christ means? Christos means?
Yes.
What's it mean?
Different terms. Yeah, I'll tell you what does it. But can we say that Jesus exists in the Old Testament?
He still exists in the Old Testament days. Not obviously not in his human nature, but that is
So
fine.
he wasn't existing. But can we say Christ exists in the Old Testament?
Well, you could say Jesus existed if it's in reference to the person.
No. Jesus didn't exist. Why? Because Jesus referred to the Son of Mary. Jesus.
He was given that name, but that person that's called Jesus still existed, just not in a human nature. Not
Yes,
human
in the
form.
divine. Correct.
He was only a divine nature, yes.
Okay, when he was existing his divine nature, what he was called? Jesus or Christ?
Well, he's just called the Son of God, the Son.
And then Christ.
Christ isn't like a name for the divine nature. Christ just means anointed one or Messiah. So if
Messiah.
anything, if we take the title of Christ, Christ would be a name for the human nature, since in order for someone to be the Messiah and to fulfill the messianic prophecies, they would have a human nature. Like for example, like let's take Isaiah 53 and the sacrifice. Those things were done in the human nature. So if that's the Christ, i.e., that's the Messiah, then Christ would be in reference to the human nature. But like that's besides the point. I don't even know why we're debating this.
No problem. That's fine. That's fine. You know what? I'm gonna say okay. That's for you. No issue. Now I want to read Galatians 3:13, please.
Yeah. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us, for it is written, "Cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree." Yeah, he became a curse for us in the sense of taking on the covenantal curse of death. For sin, which was death.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Can you repeat yourself?
Repeat what I said?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Christ became a curse for us, and that's in the sense of like taking on the curse of the law, which is for the wages of sin is death. That's it.
Can you read the verse verbatim as it
Yeah,
is written?
Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us, for it is written, "Cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree."
Thank you. The verse is divided into three parts. Do you agree?
Okay.
Christ redeemed us from the curse.
Like, what's your argument though? Like,
my argument? Well, I'm having a conversation with you, then you will hit my argument. Is that okay?
well, like we might just agree. Like, this is a waste of time. Like, what's your argument?
No, it's not waste time. I'm laying down my argument. All right.
Like,
So I believe, and I make a claim right now, making an argument. The Bible claimed that Jesus was cursed by God.
became a curse for us.
No, he said it is written, end of the verse. He said it is written, anyone hung on a pole is cursed. He said anyone hung on a pole is cursed. Now Paul, what does Paul does? Paul misquote the scripture. Paul obviously is quoting the old scripture. Do you know what he's quoting? He said, as it is written.
Yeah. Like, we would affirm Christ is cursed by God.
Let's see where the Paul quoted, because Paul says, as it is written. What is written? Can I tell you what is written?
What?
Deuteronomy 21:23.
Hmm?
Can you go to
Sure. Well, I don't understand, like, what's your contention? You just affirm that Christ became a curse for us.
the
Right?
Bible, not me.
Okay, so then we don't. I affirm that. So, like, it's
Okay,
not
so
a
do you
debate
believe?
then.
Do you believe your dad is cursed?
My dad, he became a curse for us.
This is why we
Look
argue.
on this
That's
curse. Yeah.
disagree. That's why I'm trying to give you a verse.
You cut out. You got to speak up. Like, I can't hear you, dude.
Sorry, I said this is where we disagree, and therefore I'm going to give you the verse.
What did we disagree on?
You say that your God wasn't cursed, and I'm saying your God was
I
cursed.
said he became a curse for us. I affirmed that he
All
became
right.
a curse.
That's not my argument. I'm saying who cursed him.
I grant that God would curse him.
So God cursed himself.
The person of the Father cursed the person of the Son.
So they are in the okay. They one person. They one God.
There's one God. There's three hypostases. That's where, like, the tripart of Trinity or triune.
When Father curse, is that considered as God action?
That would be considered an action by the hypostases. You could say it's an action by God in some sense, but you can't say it in the sense of, like, the one God, like.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to know.
Other
God cursing, then God action. Do you believe when God curse, is that considered as God action?
Like, I would consider it as an action by the hypostasis with the Father.
That's good. No problem. So when the Father curse, does he curse with his essence or without his essence?
It's the person of the Father who is God that's put on this curse.
So the Father,
Like, gave this curse.
when a father curses something, he does curse with his essence, because essence is not separate from him, right?
A little weird to say cursed by his essence. Like, the essence is just what something is. The essence doesn't do it. Like,
So
the essence itself isn't like a person that's doing things.
No. So the essence of the Father cursing whatever they want to be cursed, right?
I wouldn't say it like that. It's like the essence is just what something is. But when you're saying the essence is the one that's cursing him, it's making it seem like the essence is its like own rational being with like a rational mind and those types of things. It's not the case with the essence.
Are you a human?
Yes.
Right. Let's say you do work. You want to drive.
Mm-hmm.
You drive without your human essence.
The human okay, so the human essence just is what something is. For example, it's what a human is. Those would include like the attributes and those types of things. The human nature, the essence of a human, isn't an actual being that goes around and moves things. It's that essence is something that the person, or let's say my hypostasis, my person possesses. It describes what
Do you believe that? Do you believe the attribute is the essence?
Aspect, describing what something is, which would include attributes.
I'm gonna ask you again. Do you believe the attribute are the identical to the essence?
No.
So why did you say the human is what attribute?
Well,
the human
yeah,
is?
I would affirm that the attributes are identical to essence. It's just like a weird thing.
Okay. So perfect. So you agree that attributes are identical to the essence, right?
Yeah.
So that by saying that, you don't believe God has a love. You believe God is a love.
That God is a love.
No, love. God
Love,
is
yeah.
a love. So you don't believe God has an attribute of love, yet you believe God is a love, right?
Yeah, God is love.
Good. Now, question is, can your God hear the color?
God hear color?
Yeah.
I would just like, I don't think that's possible to hear color. Unless you're affirming
So you
that
say-
color like emits something that could be heard.
You say attribute are identical to the essence. If the attribute are identical to essence, that means there is no distinctions. Meaning, hearing and seeing of the God are identically one another's. Mean there is no distinction. If God doesn't have an attribute.
So you're saying because there's no distinction that therefore you could hear color?
No, I'm saying there should be a distinction. Should be your God should be able to hear, and your God should be able to see. But you say no. My God is hearing. My God is seeing. And these are all one essence.
There's no real, okay, so there's a conceptual distinction. There's no real distinction. Like a real distinction would be like an ontological thing, right?
Okay. So your God in reality doesn't hear.
No. We affirm a conceptual distinction.
Okay, conceptual distinction. Now I'm going to ask you, does your God hear in reality? Or the hearing of God is just a concept?
God does hear.
In reality?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a concept.
So you know what I mean by real distinction and conceptual distinction. Like when I say real distinction, something that's really distinct would like that's when exists when two things can exist like apart from one another in reality. For example, like
your hand is not your.
Like for example, with creatures, let's say I can lose my wisdom and remain human.
Yeah,
but with conceptual, or some people call it a rational distinction, it's just when two concepts are like distinguished in our mind, but in reality are one and the same.
Talking about attribute, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you have an attribute of hearing?
Yes, I have it. Like, yeah, obviously.
Do you have an attribute? Do you have an attribute of seeing?
Yes.
Is your hearing identical to your seeing?
Identical?
Yeah. Are they identical?
Within God, they would be in the sense of like not being discontent.
So you are more perfect than your God?
That within God.
Okay, so can your God hear the color?
Can God hear what? Like your mic's so bad, dude. I can't.
Can your God hear a red color?
Can my God hear a red color? Yes. No, like from what I know on how colors don't emit sounds, like no.
Your God doesn't hear them.
He still
your God
hears.
doesn't. How can he hear? You say he doesn't hear the color.
Like, what's the argument? Like, why would this mean God can hear color?
Let's go back to Jesus, man. This is too difficult for you.
Well, no, I just don't see. I don't see like what's the, what like how does this follow that then God would be able to hear color if we affirm divine simplicity?
No, in reality, your God doesn't exist because he doesn't hear, because he doesn't see, and you believe everything we mention is identical to the God essence. What does that mean? Meaning what? If I say 1 + 1 is equal to, right? Is that a knowledge?
That 1 + 1 = 2 is knowledge, yeah.
Knowledge.
That's knowledge. I already said it is.
So does your God have a knowledge of attribute of knowledge, or he is the knowledge?
I mean, he is knowledge. He does possess knowledge.
So that means your God. That means your God is 1 + 1 = 2.
So like here, let me explain. So like when we say that the like these attributes are identical to the essence, we're not saying they're identical in the sense like, let's say like you have 2 pennies, two pennies are identical in the sense that like they're two separate things with the same qualities, right? We are referring to God being simple, meaning he has no parts, right? So like if there was a scenario in which, let's say, his wisdom, goodness, or power were things that were added to his essence, he'd be dependent on those things. Like, no, he wouldn't be a first cause. He wouldn't be necessary at that point. So whatever God is, he is essentially, by essence. So God's essence, being like what he is, and his attributes, in the sense of like how we describe him, are the same single reality. So God's knowingness, his knowledge, is God's essence. God's loving is God's essence. God's justice is God's essence. It's his very being. Us humans, we have a mind that works a certain way, so it's a conceptual distinction in the sense that we separate them in thought because we experience them different. Like, for example, like with hearing and talking and those types of things, we experience them and understand them differently. So the distinction is conceptual. But with God, they would be collapsed into like one indivisible act of existence.
Did you even understand what you just said?
Yeah.
Well, summarize.
I mean, like, it would be easier if you just gave me what parts you didn't understand. Like, I could just repeat what I said, but if there's a specific part that you don't understand, it'd be easier if you just...
So, I'm going to ask you a last question. I don't want to really talk about this because I don't think so you have enough knowledge, with respect. But I'm going to ask you last question. So you believe your God is hearing and your God is seeing, correct?
Hmm?
And you believe these are identical to the essence, correct?
Yeah.
And these are, when you say these are identical to essence, you affirm that there is only one essence, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if these are one essence, and these are obviously there is no distinction, why in your book mention separately the God is seeing, the God is hearing, if they are truly identical to the essence? What is the real distinction? If God is hearing and God is seeing, is the whole entire essence of God hearing or some of the God essence hearing?
Like, God is hearing, God is seeing. That's what his essence is.
Okay, is he full entire essence is hearing, or the full entire essence is seeing, or some part of essence is hearing and the other part is seeing? You can't just make a claim.
It's both. It's fully hearing, fully seeing. Like, hearing and seeing are identical to his essence.
Okay, so is there a distinction between hearing and seeing, or they are identical?
They're identical. For us, they're conceptually distinct.
Okay, so your God doesn't exist, or you believe in a multiple God. I'll tell you why. You believe your God fully hearing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you believe your God fully seeing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And this fully hearing is 100% fully hearing as essence wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, can you show me the real distinction?
There is no real distinction, as I said before. It's just conceptual.
Why isn't the Bible just... Okay, so that doesn't exist then.
What do you mean that means they doesn't? How does that follow that they don't exist if the distinction is only conceptual?
Wait, you did 2 minutes ago, you say my God doesn't have attribute of hearing. He himself is hearing, correct?
Yeah, like that's just his essence.
You know what?
Hearing and knowledge. Or something.
You know what?
They do exist. They're just not as separate things.
Okay, let me make it simple for you. Can you name me one living being that exists without attribute?
Without attributes? No.
Yes.
That I'm aware of.
Your God.
He has attributes.
You just say God doesn't
I
have
literally
attributes.
just said his attributes do really exist. They're just not.
Okay, so
they don't exist as separate things or parts.
Okay, of course. Oh, okay. So you say God has an attribute, but they are not separate from the essence.
They're not separate. Yes.
But they are distinct.
No, but they're just conceptually distinct. They're not really distinct.
They're not distinct.
I just explained to you how they're distinct.
Okay, do you believe that the attribute are the descriptions of the essence?
Sure. Like I affirm that the attributes are identical to essence.
It doesn't work. You
What
can't
does
have
it, like,
attributes.
okay, so tell me, like, if it doesn't work, it would have to be logically invalid. Tell me how it's logically invalid.
Yes, it doesn't work because it's very simple. Your Bible mentioned them separately. If they are identical, why would your Bible say God sees you?
Because they're
God hears
conceptually
you.
distinct.
No,
Provide a
the Bible
conceptual
doesn't.
distinction.
Okay. Okay, this is why I asked you, do you believe the attributes are descriptions of the essence?
Yeah, the attributes are identical to the essence. I already told you what I
I didn't
believe.
ask that question. I asked you, do you believe the attributes are descriptions of the essence?
I mean, it depends on what sense you're using the word, like descriptions. Like, yeah, I would affirm that the attributes are descriptions of the essence, of the one essence, yeah. But like they're not like extra things in God. They're just descriptions of the one essence under different aspects as it relates to us. That's why it's conceptually distinct. Like if you imagine it like with God, right? Here's a good way to put it. If we look at God, right? The attributes would just be different, like, how to put this? Different angles or ways of talking about God's one simple essence. If that makes sense.
Did Will go away or something?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just, if he's not here, I'm just gonna head out. I think he had to go. Appreciate y'all for having me up. Okay. Sorry, I was a little fried. It's like a weird concept to explain, because like, I'm trying. I had bad rhetoric, I guess. There, like, it's just like I don't know what he's hung up on, and he's not. There's, like, with what he's saying, there's not really normally within a debate with what they respond with. You can understand. Oh, they're hung up on X point, right? I can explain it. Like with the Saifedean thing, they kept misinterpreting this one specific thing, so I had to clarify, right? With him, like, I couldn't tell what he was hung up on. So like all I could do is just re-explain it. But yeah, like if you could imagine, like, there's one simple essence, right? This essence isn't composite. It's identical to all the attributes, right? So God is knowledge, God is love, God is mercy, etc., right? The attributes these attributes, like, they are conceptually distinct. When we say conceptually distinct, we mean they aren't really distinct, like separate things, but they are just appearing as distinct within our mind and knowledge and how we talk about it. Now, the reason this is the way it is because for us, like, these types of things are distinct for us, right? Like knowledge and love and mercy, for us humans, they are distinct, right? Within God, they're only conceptually distinct. They're not really distinct, right? So that's why there's a conceptual distinction, because from our knowledge, from our understanding, the way we think, we understand these as being distinct. So they're only distinct within the mind, i.e. being conceptually distinct. But in reality, these aren't actually really distinct things. Knowledge isn't really distinct from love within God specifically. It's just this one simple essence, and all these attributes are identical to it. So it's literally just like one big bubble, or just one bubble, one circle. And when we talk about these attributes, it's just purely conceptual and purely mental. And you can imagine it as like different angles or ways of talking about, or languages of talking about the one simple essence. if that makes sense. Let me see. Like, does that make sense to y'all? Do you want anything explained? Can you respond to my argument above? Yeah. Bug, I have an argument against God. A loving God will not create unnecessary harm. It is possible for humans to freely accept or reject God without unnecessary harm, and God knows this. God caused humans to exist with the ability to commit this specific unnecessary harm. God either is not all-loving or does not know how to stop unnecessary harm from existing with free will. This presupposes your moral understanding. Like, you'd have to justify that morally the way like our understanding of like God and how we exist and like the Christian paradigm, those morals are wrong and that God's evil. Because like all this presupposes that the way the Christian God carries it about is immoral and wrong. It isn't perfect. So it presupposes like a moral like code or understanding that you would have to justify and ground, which ultimately without God, all morality is subjective, right? Ultimately, it's just grounded within the human mind. There's not an objective grounding. So like you could literally hold any moral position or say anything's moral and it's just as correct as someone who denies what you affirm because it's ultimately just subjective. All right. It makes sense. He doesn't understand. Yeah, it's like it's something like I just don't know what he's hung up on. It's really hard for me to like explain it if I don't know what he's hung up on. Like, is he hung up on, like, does he understand what I'm saying, but it's hard for him to, like, imagine it? Like, there's so many different ways. That's why I brought up this. Unfortunately, he wasn't even there. But that was what I was thinking in my mind. I just don't know what he was hung up on, so it's kind of hard. There is some like arguments, like I was expecting, for example, let's take this. Let's say like we define love as like affection or just whatever, something generic, and then knowledge as like intellect. It's just throwing some random definitions. Like some people will argue that this is a contradiction to say that like these are not really distinct, but just conceptually. Because if they aren't really distinct, then that means within reality there's no difference between them as it relates to God. So like knowledge equals love. And they like argue that's a contradiction. We obviously like the distinction's only real in composite beings, right? That's what we would affirm. Yeah, it's just, they're not two powers within God. They're just one indivisible act of his essence. I'm thinking about it now. I might add this to the argument, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Like, you don't really need to be arguing this. This is just so pointless. God would have to exist this way, like, by necessity. And I could add this, but, like, I don't know. I might just add the triune thing. If I can't get a good explanation for the triune God existing by necessity, like specifically three persons on here, then I'll probably just add this then instead. I don't know. I might add both. It just depends. Because I'm in college right now, so like I actually have responsibilities. The R word. I have the W word, work. Surely that response only applies to moral nihilists. I personally hold a moral objectivism, but it's dictated by the collective. Yeah, so if it's objectively grounded upon just like the general agreement of humans, it's still grounded on subjectively, right? Like, for example, morality can be objective in the sense that within a subjective paradigm, let's say this is like the U.S. law. It's objectively the case that X is illegal or bad, right? Within a subjective paradigm, things can be objective, but ultimately, this morality is still subjective because the paradigm's subjective, right? With what you're affirming, right? Moral objectivism, you would have to be able to ground morality in something objective. But since you're saying it's grounded upon like collective agreement of humans and stuff, ultimately, where does morality come from? Like, it would come from humans, human minds, which humans, because of this, it would make morality subjective. So even with your objective grounding you provided, it's not an objective grounding, it's subjective. Of course, Roto Kiwi. They see God's attributes as a list of 99 separate things that are one. They basically are saying his attributes equal his essence too. He's thinking God can hear something that doesn't talk, as in hearing equals seeing. Well, yeah, literally, this is the case that hearing equals seeing within God, like within reality. But the distinction's purely conceptual for our understanding. It's just the way our mind works. Like, you don't really need to understand this. If you can literally just justify that this would have to be the case in God by necessity, then whether like it's an apparent contradiction or not doesn't matter, because A, contradictions can exist, but like B, it's because our mind can only understand this and this understanding conceptually. So it appears to be it'll always appear to be like a contradiction or something, or apparent. So if you can at least logically justify that this is the case by necessity, then ultimately you can just say that this is just a human limitation, or what we call like an epistemic limitation, because this is how our mind works. Like it's like saying like, think about something logically without using like your rational mind. In order to think, we use our rational mind. It's not something that's possible. It's like an epistemic limitation, right? It's the same way here. Us humans only understand these things like as conceptually, like being distinct, right? So since we can only understand these things conceptual as actually being distinct conceptually, if we couldn't understand really what it's like for these things to not actually be really distinct, since we only understand them as to be distinct. It's like a human limitation. It's like a big wall. If you imagine like a big wall, you could probably lay that explanation out in a way more organized fashion. But like, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Honestly, I might add that in there. Like, I'll go sit down and formulate that for a little bit to make it like more clear and make more sense, so you can kind of understand what I'm saying a little bit better. Like, there's also, like, for example, let's say, as I was saying, with knowledge and love, right? They appear, I don't know how I got sidetracked. They appear as contradiction, or this would like appear to be a contradiction, right? Because for us, these things are different because our being is divided into parts, which include these, like having knowledge, having love, etc., right? Versus for God, these things are just descriptions of his single undivided act or essence. So they wouldn't be contradictory to him, because it's just the opposition exists only when these powers are finite and separated as in us. That's essentially what I'm saying. It's like a higher plane. It's honestly like, I don't even like talking about this because it's really hard. I can show that this has to be the case by necessity, but at least for me, I feel like it's just something hard to explain though. I was saying morality exists objectively as indexed to humans. Subjectively means it is subject. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Frodo. How you claim morality is subject to God, I see. Yeah, that's not what subjective means though. You do know that, right? Like, when we say subjective, it doesn't mean insubjective. Here, I'll show you. Sorry, my necklace got caught on my charger. So, something objective is true independently of any individual's opinions, feelings, perceptions, etc. It's grounded in reality itself. That's what something objective is. Something subjective is depends on like a subject's mind, thoughts, perception, belief, etc., and doesn't exist apart from their mental grounding. Because you're positing that it's objective, but it's grounded upon like this human consensus or the human mind, or it's subject to the human thoughts, it's still subjective. It's not objective because it doesn't exist apart from someone's individual thoughts, opinions, reality. It would have to be grounded in reality itself, necessarily, and unchanging for it to be objective. That's another aspect. For something to be objective, it can't be unchanging. Or it would have to be unchanging. So like if morality ever changed, that would just debunk morality being objective at that point too. Because something's objective is like absolute. Right? So for example, like let's say, like an example of something objective, let's just assume that our current knowledge of science is completely true and that water is H2O, right? It's objectively true whether you believe it or not, whether you affirm it or not, whether you think it or not, that H2O is water. Right? Something subjective would be, for example, let's say chocolate tastes better than vanilla. Chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla ice cream. This is not subjective because it's not true whether you believe it or not. It's grounded specifically based on someone's personal preferences, thoughts, etc. If that makes sense. Immaterial creator mind. Is this immaterial creator mind pure act? I see. So objectivity here means it is grounded in reality itself rather than. Yeah. That's what we mean. It's not. It doesn't. Subject doesn't mean in subject to. So like that's why morality outside of like a god or something like that, it can't be from an atheist worldview. It can't be grounded objectively because it's going to ultimately just be in someone's mind, perception, belief, etc. It's not grounded in reality itself. Oh yeah. I'll do the triune God thing. I'm considering now, like heavily, adding the thing in like justifying why that like God would have to be divinely simple by necessity. And all this, it's just obviously I'm not that well versed in it, but B, it's just I don't know. It's gonna take a long time. It's a very complex topic to talk about. Also very deep. But yeah, I'll for sure look out for the update when I add the Trinity part. I also need to find a printer because I print this out every single time I make an update, and I do not have a printer where one is. So if I do make an update, I will need to print this out, and I need to find a printer. But yeah. Yeah, pure act is means like you have no potentia. You're fully actual. So that would include being all-powerful, all-knowing, perfectly moral, perfectly loving, all those types of. Oh, actually, also, one thing I'm going to add on this thing, I'm going to add why, for example, God doesn't have the potentia to get weaker. Because that's something I was thinking about that I haven't added yet. Because looking at this argument, I was like, I don't think I've ever explained why God doesn't have the potential to get weaker. Because normally the understanding that God doesn't have when we say fully actualized, right? There's no more. We understand it, or at least how I understand it, is something doesn't have the potential to increase or improve, right? There's no potential to get even more powerful. He's perfectly powerful. He's all powerful, right? But I never got into how that wouldn't mean that there's potential to get weaker. And not necessarily that it's like, obviously there's an explanation that it's impossible for him to get weaker, right? I first cause can't change, all that stuff. But I don't want to go down that. I want to like explain why there isn't a potential to be weaker. Yeah. And that's fair. Yeah, Roto, if you just want to join the Discord, we can talk about this, especially on like VC some other time, or you can just read my argument. I have it in there why God has to be pure act. But yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna end the stream, y'all. I have actual priorities I gotta do. I'll make the updates or add those things to this. And I gotta find a printer and do some homework. But yeah, appreciate y'all for all tuning in. That was an incredible turnout. And yeah, I'm glad you all came in. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the constant support. Keep making sure you're going to church. Keep making sure you're praying and all that. And yeah, next time I think I'm going to start with the TikTok live, my TikTok live. I know the Islam debates and all that get more views, but like I also need to debate on my TikTok live. But I don't know if I'll promise, but I'll try my best to make sure we actually don't only just do my TikTok lives, because I don't want my live to literally just be sophistry. But yeah,